Moe Factz with Adam Curry for February 20th, 2023, episode number 90. Adam Curry coming to you from the heart of the Texas Hill Country. Time once again to spin the wheel of topics from here to Northern Virginia. Please say hello to my friend on the other end. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Moe Factz.
How you doing, Adam?
I am good, Mo. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Oh, man. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. I have missed our little chats, to be honest.
I have as well.
Yeah, and so today, I think what's happened is the good Lord has told me I got to cuss less and maybe just listen more. So He gave me a nice oral surgery yesterday. So if I start slissing or talk slowly, then everyone knows what's going on.
Okay.
Because it only hurts when I laugh. So don't you dare.
Well, this might not be the show.
See, it's happening already.
I apologize in advance.
All right, I'm very excited. Let's spin the wheel of topics, see what we have, okay? All right, there we go. Round and round the wheel of topics goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. But, of course, Mo knows because he put it all together. The topic for Moe Factz with Adam Curry, episode number 90, is...
Big Tech is in bed with Big Con.
Ah, Crowder. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know a little bit about this. I followed that story somewhat.
I'm glad you did. I thought it was one of the most fascinating stories at the time. And it was the end cap, or what do you call the cap on the top or something? The capstone of a previous show I had, teased, and you forced my hand. It was on the Ye versus Day show.
Yeah.
When we got into the Candace Owens being, trying to pony up again beside Ye.
Yes.
And you forced my hand in spectacular podcast fashion.
Wait, what did I do? I don't remember. What did I do?
I was just hinting around the edges with her and Kanye and what she might be up to.
Yeah.
And you were like, kept going, like you kept like pulling the strings, and I had to let it go.
Come on, Mo.
Right, because I saw this coming. I saw Big Con, being big conservative media, being looking for opportunities to increase the market share, and that's what her move I thought was, because she was going totally off code against the Daily Wire for Ye. And
yeah, it didn't last very long though.
No, because he went full Ye, and she couldn't go there because
no, of course not, because she works for Daily Wire. You can't go full Ye when it comes down to the Zionist globalists.
Well, the thing was, she was willing to go with Ye where he was going, but where he took it on the Alex Jones show, that gets you ostracized from your social circles. And that's really one of the pressures, right? I mean, everybody will make moves for money, but when you become ostracized and shunned from your social circles, or that's a threat, then that's another level of canceling, which I think she didn't want to deal with. And then the Parler deal dried up mysteriously.
Well, we kind of knew that was going to happen. It's like, that seems unlikely. We didn't think that would complete.
So just that's where we're going with the show. We're going to look into that whole dynamic of what's going on. We're going to circle back to Ye, because it has something to do with what he was like, the contract thing, right? It's like, because you're aware somewhat of what was going on with the Steven Crowder and Daily Wire situation. And we're going to get into, maybe some Operation Paperclip. So, not Paperclip, but Mockingbird, excuse me.
Mockingbird, just as good. Yeah. Just as good.
So I guess what we need to do now is just get the backgrounder for people that were not in the know, and start with clip number 2.
There's some drama unfolding in the world of conservative media. Conservative media commentator Steven Crowder, conservative YouTube personality, has accused Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens' Daily Wire of being in bed with Big Tech. So here's what happened. Steven Crowder is a YouTube conservative who was formerly affiliated with The Blaze. He's on his own now, and apparently the Daily Wire reached out to him with an offer to acquire him and to host his show going forward. Crowder hated the terms of that agreement. He said they were going to penalize him for if he ever got demonetized on YouTube or other platforms, they were going to start subtracting money from the contract.
That's a little bit of an abbreviation.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, the reason I was going to say is because Crowder, and I did follow this, and I found it's highly interesting, and I have a lot of thoughts about Daily Wire. But Crowder, he said he had problems with a deal that was offered to him. He didn't say who it was. It was the Daily Wire. I forget the guy's name. Boring, yes, Jeremy Boring. He's the one that came out and said, "Oh, hold on a second, this was our contract. Let me tell you what's really going on." And then the tit for tat went back and forth. So it wasn't initially Crowder who mentioned Daily Wire, if I recall correctly.
That is correct. That is correct. And just as a side note, you know how they say like your last name was what your forefathers did, like
Crowded or Boring.
Yeah. So Boring, that fits him. I tried to use him as a clip, but it would tough. Not. Tough, man, because he went over the contract and was saying line by line, but it was a snoozer. So I just couldn't do it. He's appropriately named. So, I mean, yes, you're right. Steven Crowder didn't come out and say it was like a blind item who he was talking about, but I guess Daily Wire kind of wanted to jump out in front of it, and they outed themselves.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is too much goggles, but the reason Boring did that was all positioning about their company, because they have a very set direction, which is doesn't really even involve Shapiro anymore. I mean, this guy wants to do movies, and which is what he's always been.
Right. And this is why I wanted to do this show with you, because this is the counter narrative to Value for Value. So I knew you were all over it, and it just exposes the red tape that comes along with these contracts. So I was excited to do this show, and like I said, it was a great capstone with this happening. And it's amazing how these things go that you think I have the show done. Well, I think I have the show done, and then this gift falls from the sky.
What's that?
That illustrates exactly what I was talking about. So I guess we can go ahead and get into clip number 3.
Here's Steven Crowder talking about it.
They don't get deals that
they can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand. They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be wage slaves for a little bit.
So Steven Crowder got on the phone with Jeremy Boring, who is Daily Wire co-creator of it with Ben Shapiro, and surreptitiously recorded him, which is pretty wild because they were very good friends previously, recorded him saying that line about what you would be if you were a young, coming up conservative, starting out, and you have to be a wage slave for a little bit. Missing in all of this was that the contract they offered Steven Crowder, $50 million over, I believe, 3 years.
Wow. More context here as well.
Please add all the context you need.
Okay.
And this is going to be a great opportunity of what you heard, what I heard, and what they're reporting. So please fill in the gaps where you see necessary.
Okay, I'll kind of go to the conclusion because what is going on here is Crowder already has a staff of 20. He has a real business. Whatever, I'm not sure exactly what happened with the Blaze, but I know that he was looking to possibly do a value for value play. I heard directly from some of his staff members, but he already does a version of that because he has a reported, I think, 300,000 members of the Mug Club, which means there's 300,000, let it be, even if it's 100,000 people who are paying him monthly. So he's got a very nice income already without the necessity for advertising. And the contract that was offered actually really made him a wage slave. That's in my opinion. Doesn't matter how much the wage is. you're a wage slave if you're set to a schedule, if there's certain things you have to do, certain targets you have to hit, which is why I prefer doing full value for value. Now, I don't make the money Crowder does, but at the same time, I'm my own man. I can do whatever I want. Now, the thing that I find baffling is that Crowder is making a big deal of this type of contract. And at the same time, he was kind of offering people to join him or become a part of perhaps his network that he may want to build. And I may be wrong about that, but that's the way I heard it, and what he didn't like about, what am I going to leave for everybody who comes after me? And I just wanted to say very clearly, you can't monetize the network. So I don't know what Crowder is thinking of, but he should just do whatever he wants to do on his own. And he doesn't really need, just looking at the money, the way it breaks down, I don't think he really needs the $50 million over 3 years or 4 years or whatever it was. I think he's doing just fine. And I think there's more behind it from him personally as well. It's not coming out right yet, or maybe I've lost track of it and hopefully. Well, I know one thing: your analysis is going to be fantastic. So I'm waiting for what you have to say.
So the takeaways I had from it, and this is just a high level, like the media narrative that we're discussing. Mm-hmm. One is, I think he saw a chance to jump into the game and become a Blaze, to become a media Daily Mail,
Daily Wire.
Daily Wire.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So it was, let me record him saying, yeah, you're going to be a wage slave, which, let's stop right there at the recording, because even his crowd was split on this. It's that we don't secretly record people. That was kind of bad business. It was because, with the conservative thought process, we do things upstanding, and we don't do underhanded things like that. But at the same time, they're big fans of Project Veritas. Yeah. make that job. I don't know.
They literally, get a guy on a gay date and try to get everything out of him, which is also pretty low when it comes to, honeypotting somebody.
Right, which the secret recording split his herd. I wouldn't say 50-50. I would say maybe 80-20% was kind of like, that's kind of off, off script to be recording people. But he saw it as an opportunity to say, look, they're trying to make you wage slaves.
Yeah.
And I won't do that. Come join us and I'll give you a fair deal. It kind of...
that doesn't sit well with me. It's like, do your own show. You don't have to be a network. That's just my personal experience, really. Not even an opinion, experience, that it's very hard to make it work.
Well, this is how rap works. And this is why I found it fascinating when you talk about Ye and what he was going through. This is how it works. Big labels sign up and coming artists, say we put the machine behind you, but we can dictate your career, and then we get what's called a 360, which is, we make money off of all of your money. And that's one of the things you didn't bring up was, I think that Steven Crowder wouldn't own any documentaries that he made. He would get paid for them, but he wouldn't own the rights to it.
No, not even the shows that he would make on their behalf, even the shows. So basically, if you want to use that analog, all the publishing would be with Daily Wire.
Correct. Which it's a wonderful, just aligning of what's happening in hip hop, what was happening with Ye, and now we're seeing these kind of contracts.
Good point.
Are coming into the content creation.
If I can just interrupt for 1 second, when we started Pod Show 2006, and we raised a lot of money from venture capital to do it, we did exactly the same thing. In fact, we were not shy about it. We said, this is very much like a record, like a band. We're now going to sign them to their own label. We set them all up with an LLC. We gave them a guaranteed amount of money. Not that we thought that they would go on to create sub labels, but they could be their own entrepreneur. But absolutely, we own certain rights. And there's really no other way to do it unless you go full on value for value. That's the only way you can do it.
And I agree. And the sub narrative of all of this, and it's just minute, but these are the same people like, oh, slavery this, slavery that. And then they're kicking and screaming about becoming wage slaves.
Clutch my pearls, yes.
So I found that to be, that's the first thing I took away from, like, are they really talking about slavery?
Yeah.
With everything that comes out of both of their organization is like, oh, slave deniers, even to the point where I think Maj Touré and one of the guys from the Daily Wire had got into it over the continuing narrative for slavery, but we're not going to go there. I just wanted to bring that up. But now we got to get to Neely Fuller. I got to say this before you even play the clip. I know some people may eye roll and why is he always talking about white supremacy? It's because it's effective. if you say that term and it makes people kind of like, that's mean we're getting somewhere. What they say when you're receiving flack, you're over the target.
That's right.
So I want to say that. So this Neely Fuller clip, I got to set up a little bit. This is him explaining how white supremacy takes both sides of the argument.
I want to make this very, very clear. This morning in 2017, August, the white supremacists are very skilled at the art, science, code of deception. All right? And they are the best strategists in the world for dominating and mistreating people. And part of that strategy, a key part, is to do what? What did I say earlier in this program? If some of you were with this program at the beginning, today. I said it over and over again, and I'm going to end up this program saying it. The white supremacists take all sides of every argument when it comes to people of color, so that they have positioned themselves to have, in the end, the same strength or greater strength than they had before the argument started.
All right. And of course, I always love how he says supremacists, not supremacists, but supremacists, which I think is subtle but makes a difference.
Yes, it does. And the people of color I'm talking about right now is the orange people. I was broached.
Color people.
I broached this subject before, and this is a teaser of an up-and-coming show. Carvel. Did you hear what he said?
When?
About being white trash?
No, I guess I missed that.
Yeah. When he was talking about MTG.
Yeah,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mm-hmm.
And he flat out called her white trash.
That's nice.
This is where we're at. I'm telling you, they're starting to push the orange people into the people of color category.
Orange! Mm-hmm.
and in doing that, this is what you need to co-opt the media of the orange people. You see where I'm going with this?
Well, first of all, yes, because 89 episodes ago, it was the first time you said to me, Adam, they're just coming for us first. And here we are.
Here it's full throated. He said he's a. I'm just going to tease that because that's going to be an upcoming show. So get ready for it. But that just proved I had to lay that out there to say the reason why they have the co-op and the they in this is big tech and whoever big tech works for. You know what I'm saying? You can fill in the blanks with that. They can't let conservative or alt media be free.
No.
We have to go in, we have to co-opt it, we have to get all the rising stars on the contract. That way we can say, if you step foul of whatever big tech says, you won't get paid or you won't get paid as much as you possibly can, this is just nothing but infiltration.
Yeah. Yes, I would concur.
So I guess we can wrap up with the second part of the Neely Fuller clips, just so I want everybody to know they take all sides, not both sides. Even if they're the third, fourth side, they take all sides of the argument. I'm going to emphasize that again. They are very, very scientific at taking all sides. See, they position their people on all sides of not just two sides, three sides. If there's an argument of any kind,
religious argument, political argument, educational argument. They position themselves on all sides of every facet of every argument. Don't forget that. Like the Godfather trying to tell Michael, I mean, you know, whomever comes to you and set up this meeting, that's a traitor. Don't forget that.
And we got to see who's the traitor in this situation.
Ooh, okay.
We got one handing out a contract with stipulations of big tech, but then we also have somebody that's secret recording some, which is very off code. There was a, you know, like a code of conduct amongst these people.
And meanwhile,
which is a farce. I mean, I'm saying. But,
but meanwhile, we don't even know what happened with the Blaze. We don't really know why Crowder left, do we?
Well, the Blaze. The Blaze. How can I say this?
No, let me give it a try. Just looking at JLock 100, it's a control mechanism.
That it is. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember that the Blaze and Glenn Beck were anti-never Trumpers.
Sure.
To begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe Crowder wasn't down with that. He saw that wasn't a winning strategy. And that might be a reason why he broke away from it. And let me just be honest. This whole conservative beef, this is nothing new. I've been around these circles for a long time. I remember when Glenn Beck and Alex Jones were going at it, you know what I'm saying, heavy. Now they've patched up because they got to realize, you know, kind of like the Avengers movie, with Thanos is coming. Right. So, you know, the good guys and the bad guys, whoever you want to say good or bad, have to team up together and fight this far bigger threat. So this is nothing new.
No, I mean, I when I did the Glenn Beck show, when he interviewed me, you know, and then like 3 or 4 days later, he said, "Hey, you know, I want you to do every Friday on the radio show." You know, there was clearly like a, "Hey, why don't you come and join?" Like a soft hand join us type thing. And I didn't want that. I felt immediately like, and that's quite the operation, man. They got so much going on there.
And since you brought up Whitlock, see, this is what I'm talking about. These subtle things you do. And it's like, because you did it with the previous show with Ye. It's like, I got to hop on it. You know what I'm saying? You got me. With Whitlock. This week, the guy over at Valuetainment invited Whitlock.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
There was some drama with that.
Is that David Bett? Is that guy?
Yes, okay. That's him.
I missed the drama. I didn't see the drama. What happened?
Yeah, he invited Whitlock, and then he tried to blindside Whitlock with bringing on what's our guy from the Boulay?
Which one?
Roland Martin.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
So he didn't tell him it was going to be a panel, but then he's like, "Oh, while you're here, I got a panel." You know what I'm saying? And Whitlock thought he was going to be on like a one-on-one kind of interview, and it became this whole thing. But Whitlock was like, you know, I could say what I want to say. He was just trying to pit two black people together, and by the end of the week, he had to reassure how conservative he was, because in that rant, he was like, "I'm not conservative. I'm not this." You know what I'm saying? Nobody can own me. And then by the end of the week, he had to reassure how conservative he was. So, yeah, this is, you see, yeah, it is. You got to be careful when you sign these contracts, because for me, let's just take him out of it. For me, if I would have signed one of these contracts, I understand they were like, "Mo, you can never talk about reparations again in a positive light." Right. You know, as a conservative, there's certain things you just can't say. And that's one of them. White supremacy, gotta go. You know what I'm saying? You gotta fight. Use globalists, use World Economic Forum, whatever.
But not that, yeah.
Yes. So I'm just telling you, so yeah. So
good point.
You're right, and it's amazing they tried to get you on the contract. They're like, "Hey, Curry, we want to get you on the contract." You over there talking about,
and I felt it right away. I'm just like, no, I'd be happy to come. Don't pay me. You know, if you want me to come on, I'll be happy to talk. It's great. It's great for my show. Great for everything I do. So you know, I get some exposure. And he has called me a couple times, but then again, it was like, I can't remember what it was. It was like some crazy conspiracy theory, and it was like, "Yeah, call Curry." I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not just here for the nut job stuff. But I appreciate crackpot. Well, yeah. I mean, that's who I am, but that's not my brand.
Not all I do.
That's not all my brand.
Yeah.
So I guess it is my brand, really. What am I saying? But
what better brand is it, though? We talk about lizard people. We can talk about anything we want to. It's like nobody can shut us up.
Little lizard people. All right.
Thanks to the people, value for value. Thank you. And that's the moral of this story. Yeah. If we had to say it before the story is over, the producers allow us to say all the things that we say and not be filtered or monitored or, nudged to say, I don't know if you want to put it that way.
Very powerful for us. Very empowering.
Very, very much so. So now we got to go back to the Hill, and this is the summary. Let's go and get to number 4.
$50 million over, I believe, 3 years, which is a whole lot of money. Here's Candace Owens responding to the debacle on Tim Pool's podcast.
Well, LOL to anyone who thinks that Steven Crowder is not doing this to make money. I just have to outwardly laugh. He's the person in a disguise. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? He's like, right. I'm here because I care about all of you. That's why I'm recording my friend and doing this crappy thing where I literally could have just said, no, I don't like those terms, and then said to everybody, I'm starting my own outfit. Fair. You walk away all the time. You have I have walked away. I had an offer from the Blaze. It didn't work for me. You know what I mean? I don't need to piece apart the contract. I love those guys. I think Tyler is amazing. This is what I'm saying. People need to stop thinking that he is some knight in shining armor. He's not. He's not a knight in shining armor. And if you can't see that, watch this video, because I think his acting is never more apparent. Even the titles. I didn't want to do this. Oh, really? Then why the hell did you record him?
Yeah, I felt very bad for Candace Owens when I saw this. First of all, I don't understand the appeal of Tim Pool. That's not they've invited me. I'm like, no, it's okay, man. I'm cool. It's always boring to me. It feels a lot of very inside the stuff that they do back and forth. It feels like I'm listening to Twitter most of the time. Mm-hmm. And for Candace Owens, who was tripping over her words, to me, it was, oh man, they sent you to do this, really? That's how it felt to me.
Where's my bell? Hold on.
Bell?
That's a bell word. Hold on. Thank you. I found my bell.
You came to the show without your bell? This is very unprepared of you, Mo.
I'm sorry. Oh, I found it.
Good.
Yes. But that's exactly what happened. And let me explain to you how I took it. The way she jumped out of the window for Ye and wouldn't back down.
I love that phrase.
Right. The way she went back down and she's like, I'm riding with Ye. He's my friend, and I'm not going to choose between, my job and my friend.
Uh-huh.
And when he left her high and dry, or she couldn't go where he was trying to take it, now it's like, Candace, you know what you got to do. You got to go out here and you got to cape like nobody's business. And that's what this was, because she was on her channel. She was on Tim Pool's channel, calling him a bitch, and which I found was very unbecoming. You know what I'm saying? I don't like when women do that to men, because those are fighting words. Mm-hmm. And like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't use words if you don't want an actual fight. I don't like when people do that.
I think she was looking for a fight.
Oh yeah, she was definitely looking for a response so they could say, "Oh, look at him attacking the black woman." It's like everybody goes agree. Yeah. I found this to be one of the most fascinating situations, because everything they claim they stand for, they threw out the window.
And that's thank you for doing this, because I really. Me, I'm a white guy, so I didn't like that. Didn't register that way to me immediately. But I guess deeper, it's like, oh, okay. It was because I always look at it from the money angle, and like, here's what I think. Candace, you got easy talking. Your husband's got a good job. He's got cash. He's involved in higher levels of finance and technology. So you got easy talking. It's like, if she loses her job, is not the end of the world necessarily for their family, and she got 1 or 2 kids now.
It is for her though.
Right, but her scruples are very low in my book already, because when she went all in on the Freedom Phone, which, without any research, I immediately saw through this. This is a scam. This guy doesn't got anything special. And, and she was she got paid to advertise it. And she was real cagey about that. I don't just take money from any outfit. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You do.
Just like her idol, Oprah.
Oh, wow. Boo.
I keep telling you, she wants to be the conservative Oprah. That's the whole thing. And she tried to get off of the conservative hamster wheel with Ye because she wanted to go to the wider culture. But see, the thing is, she has stink on her that would never wash away. The way she handled the whole Black Lives Matter riots, saying they were chipping out, and how she handled the George Floyd thing, not being sensitive. And I don't use that as all she should have been caping for George Floyd, but there's a time and a place in how you carry things if you want to have a wider audience. And she kind of slammed the door on that, the way she handled it. And even for the Super Bowl, she's like, I don't see anything wrong with Rihanna's performance, trying to get that. And she did the same thing with
the Super Bowl performance.
Yes.
She's Red Queen Rising. Please. That was the most satanic Illuminati thing I've seen in a while.
Exactly. The spiral dancing and all.
And then she threw the triangle at the end, which they tried to take off the TV, but we all saw it. We saw that she threw the Illuminati triangle. Correct.
But even for Candace, I didn't see anything wrong with it. It was a great show. I disagree with Trump, that kind of thing. And my whole point is she's trying to cut her way into mainstream culture. That's her where she's trying to. I think her and Boring have the same thought process.
Mission and initiative.
Mission, yes. Mm-hmm. We're not politics. That's why I think you said they were going away from Micro Machine Man.
Yeah, or they're going towards movies, and I think that would be a very Oprah-ish move. She wants to go into the big time with movies, and and of course they already do books.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Well, she got a long way to go if she wants to be Oprah. Oprah is sophisticated in her ways.
Yeah, and her methods.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I know exactly.
She's a horrible person, but she's sophisticated in how she does it.
I have no qualms with your statement. Let's go ahead and get into the sixth part of this Daily Wire situation.
Wait, I still have clip 5.
It's number 5. It's the sixth part.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Batya, I'm sure you would do this job for a mere $40 million, right?
Of course. I think this is such an interesting story because, first of all, did he not think that the $50 million was going to, that the first thing the Daily Wire was going to do was sort of leak that? I mean, where did he think this was going? I also had this feeling watching the Candace Owens rant. I had the same feeling I had when Elon Musk put out his proposal for how to end the war in Ukraine, which I thought was a really good proposal, and everybody started attacking him and trashing him, and I was just thinking, don't make me defend this guy, don't make me be on his side. And I felt that way watching this Candace Owens video. She was absolutely right, and it was interesting to see her coming out and swinging in support of the Daily Wire. Yes, she works there, but they had a whole kerfuffle over Kanye West. If you recall, she kept defending Kanye and defending him, even as his sort of commentary became more and more anti-Semitic until he ended up defending Nazis. And she kept saying, look, I'm not going to denounce my friend, which, fair point, but it made the Daily Wire look very bad because, Ben Shapiro was getting a lot of flack for that. So, it seems that, at that point, whatever happened there, I'm sure they were happy to see her coming out, in full defense of the platform.
Oh man, I'm so glad we're doing this show now and that we got delayed doing this. So, we don't eat. There's no way you can accuse us of jumping on the pile. We're really dissecting the bull crap that's going on here. And even how this girl says, until he started defending Nazis, like, okay. When I hear this, it's like you got a AI voice on Twitter. That's how I hear these things.
And the funny thing about it was these are liberal reporters or journalists.
Is this The Hill?
Talking heads. Yes, The Hill.
Right.
So they are shocked that Crowder is worth $50 million or more. That's the thing that really got them
Oh yeah, that pisses them off. Like what? What? We're working here for a buck, like $1.10. If that.
Right. Exactly. It's like he's worth $50 million. It's that kind of money in the red media, and that makes them start to look at things a little different.
Yeah. That's
it's like I might flip for a few $1 million. Speaking of for them, but yes, like she pointed out that everybody knew Candace Owens was off code as far as not writing for her employer, and that's why I would say that they made her go out and earn her keep. Mm-hmm. And that's how I saw it. It might not be that way, but that's how I saw it. And this just confirms that whoever was doing the talk, I forget her name, saw the same thing I saw. But that's what Candace wants in one way. What she said, don't make me agree with Candace Owens. Right. I've seen this kind of meme pop up. Like, don't make it came up when she was in support of Meg Thee Stallion and the whole shooting situation. She took Meg's side, right? And like everybody, all the people that quote unquote hate Candace Owens was like, don't make me agree with Candace Owens. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you making me agree with her? So that's kind of, it's a whole talking point.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And she even repeated it there in the clip. So,
yeah.
So I guess now we talked enough about Candace. I guess we can go jump right in and listen to her word for word, unless you got something else to say.
No, I'm good. We'll go to word for word.
At the end of the day, I think what happened, this is completely my opinion, by the way, so I'm not blinking twice, I'm not under duress, is that Steven Crowder became a free agent. And
hold on a second. I'm not blinking twice under duress. In other words, yeah, you are. You were told to say, like, I wasn't, what she's saying there is, I wasn't told to say this. But of course you were. But of course you were, Candace. That's why you said it. I've been around. I'm old now. I know how this works.
At the end of the day, I think what happened, this is completely my opinion, by the way, so I'm not blinking twice, I'm not under duress, is that Steven Crowder became a free agent and he's feeling a little vulnerable right now, right? He's used to working for other organizations. He has some guaranteed pay. Also,
the incessant use of right means that she's trying to convince us. And she does not do this typically. Her vocabulary is a little more controlled when she's not trying to do things that are unnatural. Well, this is now probably natural for her, but she's trying to convince us of something. And that's why she keeps saying right, which is not a typical thing for her that I'm glad remember.
You picked up on that too. Yeah. I'm glad, because when you see her on like guest spots on Tucker or wherever else, she's very
tight. She got it to the point. Tight. Yeah. She got it tight. She doesn't have to say right. Tucker will do that for her. So, all right.
Now. Right? He's used to working for other organizations. He has some guaranteed pay. And he thought that Daily Wire were actually going to meet him at $120 million. They didn't. They declined. And he's still feeling a little shaky on that. It's scary to go out on your own. I thought about it. I thought about going out on my own. It's a lot of work. Maybe down the line I will. But it's a scary thing to go out, to step out on your own and say, I'm going to do this thing completely by myself. As Jeremy pointed out, Steven's not done that before. Right? And so to do this, he pulled a move in which he was going to try to take a bunch of people that were subscribed to the Daily Wire and start his own company. So essentially saying, I'm the hero, I'm the martyr, follow me because I'm not like those guys. And then he was going to start his own shop. And that's what he's trying to do. And some people fell for it and said, I'm with you to the end. I'm Mug Club till I die. And didn't understand that really nothing happened here other than nobody wanted to pay Steven Crowder $120 million. So he turned to his viewers who he thinks are stupid enough at least not to understand how business negotiations work, right? Like this is like normal. You kick it back and forth. And they were going to make up for his loss. So people that are upset by his video, the millions of people who watched it, are now going to give him $1, whatever it costs to be in the Mug Club. And they're going to become the $120 million that he feels that he deserves.
Well, okay, so thank you very much. This is a perfect clip. Except Candace turns it around here and says, oh, no, I'm going to steal people from the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire, in everything I saw from Mr. Boring, was that they would love to have his 300,000 people. And that's what they kept saying. Well, can you show us the list? We want to see that you have 300,000 paying members. Because I believe it. I believe he has, maybe not 300,000, but he's got 100,000 at least. that's
obviously he's making some bank. I mean, it speaks for itself.
If you have 20, 25 people, that is that's like a $12 million, that's probably outdated, like a $12 million payroll, which, by the way, I don't know why. This is always video probably, but it's always baffled me why he needs so many people to do a podcast, which is kind of what he should just be doing. I love his on the street stuff, change my mind. I love that. But Candace is turning it around here. And again, this proves to me that she just turns everything upside down, whereas he really didn't want to give up his mug club that cheaply. That's what I see happening here. He didn't want to just give that up. And although it was never in the stuff that he aired, and I'm sure he didn't air everything, I think the negotiation was really about that. Oh, you want to take my mug club, but then if I leave, do I get it back? I think that's what it was about. He didn't want to hand his subscribers over for $50 million.
And I just got to lay it out here. And I'm gonna circle back to use the term but I have to lay it out here because we're falling right into the trap they wanted us to do. They wanted us to talk about the money.
Right.
That's why the money became the issue. The money. You heard the Hill talk. Right. You heard Hill talk about it was the $50 million.
Of course.
It's not about the money. It's about the Daily Wire working for big tech. And who controls big tech? The FBI. Hello.
Yes.
Have we not seen the Tweety leaks? You know what I'm saying? This is why they started bringing up the money. Let's move the narrative over to money.
Move it away. Yeah.
Because what he's accusing us of is being part of the uniparty. And she's even using anti-conservative, anti-Republican talking point. I thought it was free market.
Right.
I thought it was, if somebody could come take your market, as long as it's in, less regulation. Isn't that what they want?
Yeah.
But it's like now it's he's not playing with, he's not playing fair ball. He's playing underhanded. I thought that was what free market and capitalism was all about. As long as it's not expressly illegal, it's fair game. So they're going against their whole ideology to deflect the fact that they work for the government, point blank, period. And I'm going to prove it as the show goes on.
All right. No. Okay. Hold on. Let me tilt the lazy boy back for a second.
Because I saw what's going down the money, Pat, which they want us to sit here and have a 3-hour podcast about the money, which the money is not important at all. He's worth what he's worth. That if it was about the money, the negotiation, it gets to some selling point. It's the fact that when he got that contract and says, you have to stay inside what big tech says that you have to stay inside of. I'm just, putting myself in his shoes, say Eureka.
Now, hold on. I do want to, because of course, that's where the whole big con comes from. This is very analogous to what happened with Spotify, where Spotify bought Bill Simmons' sports pod network. What was that called? Sports something. You know me in sports. For $300 million. And they had Joe Rogan, and and then they internally, this was a big story just recently. And they internally wanted to say, all right, now we're going to lock it off. You're not going to be able to get any of these podcasts anywhere except on Spotify. So Joe Rogan is already that way. We're not going to have Bill Simmons' network go out anywhere but on Spotify. And it was Bill Simmons who said, we will not be able to perform against your metrics that are given to us based upon the acquisition if we're not on Apple and YouTube and all these other places, because the advertising just won't have enough reach. So there is some validity to the business model that they are proposing, but that business model is exactly what it has always been. Stay within the lines, don't get kicked off, don't get deplatformed, and that's the leverage that has always been there to curtail free speech.
Correct. And that proves that they're not really alt media. They're not really.
Of course not. If you're taking ads, no, you're not. It's just that is the lever. That is the worst. That is worse than you might as well just go stand outside with no clothes on.
Well, if you said our advertisers are not happy, that'd be one thing. But when you can say YouTube's not happy or big tech's not happy, and they can shut you down.
Right, exactly.
In this crowd, in this milieu, or you know what I'm saying, whatever you want to call it.
Good word. Yep.
That's sacrilege. Yeah. What? You letting big tech control it? We got Rumble. We got, all these alternate things.
Rumble is big tech.
I know. I know.
Big tech.
What I'm just saying is we've carved out our own lane kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we won't adhere to this is why we left. While I'm walking away. That was Candace's whole thing about the Republican, Democrat. We're walking away. But now you're just saying they're just another plantation. That's all they are. You think you have a choice when you're going over there between the two, but you're just going right into the same trap as you would at the Hill.
Correct.
Or at, or MSNBC or anywhere else. It's like you have to subscribe to the thought.
Well, so the money is actually, it's reinforcing because that's why they talked about it right here. And by the way, that was Dvorak's first response. And I know John, and I love him, but it's definitely, it's like, what? If they offered $50 million for no agenda, I'd convince you'd do it. I said, no, I wouldn't. He said, yeah, you would. Just for a couple of years. Stick it out. No, John. No, I got a lot more left than you, brother. No. And that's what the Hill is basically saying. Well, for $50 million, I'll do anything. That's pretty.
You can have my mama for $50 million.
That's right. I'll even work for the conservative Daily Wire for $50 million. That's what's going on here.
Right. But like Master P said, if you offer me $2 million, I must be worth $4 million.
Absolutely.
See, that's the actual free mindset of whatever you're saying, however you're saying, set my valuation. Mm-hmm. I got to for you to make money off of me, I have to be worth more than you're offering me.
Correct.
That's just logic. I mean, that's mathematical logic. So let's go ahead and get into the second part of Candace Owens on Steven Crowder.
First of all, I'm just going to say this. Unrelatable. People are trying to pay for bacon and eggs right now at the grocery store, trying to buy a steak once a week. And you're over here crying because somebody couldn't meet you at $120 million. And it is crying. I don't like it. It was a total bitch move. There are plenty of things that happen across all organizations in the conservative movement where I will say that I empathize with Steven Crowder and saying that sometimes you feel like a cynic, which is like, is everybody selling out? Are people doing this? People doing that? There are a lot of things that Daily Wire has done that I disagree with. There's a lot of things that Turning Point has done that I disagree with. There are things perhaps that PragerU has done that I disagree with. I have worked with all of these companies, right? But to do a total bitch move and go out to the public rather than trying to resolve these things and these slight differences behind the scenes, and to make it seem like you're the hero and you're the true one and you keep it authentic when nothing happened other than you didn't like an initial term sheet. And all you got to do is tell them that and tell them what you didn't like and go back and forth with lawyers like everybody else. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm going on Tim Pool's tonight, so I'm going to say it anyways later, is that I'm pretty sure, wasn't it Steven Crowder who also screwed over somebody he used to work with? Was it not Gay Jared? Because he had him tied up in a contract. Wasn't that Steven Crowder who did that? So is he supposed to be the moral high bar? Or are we not supposed to call him out for that? Here's the thing. Steven, why don't you release not Gay Jared from his NDA and allow him to talk about how he felt he was treated by you? Because I know that at the Blaze, everyone says that you're actually not that nice. You treat people poorly, but you bring in so much revenue that everybody just has to take it.
Wow. Talk about airing the dirty laundry.
I love it.
I didn't know any of that. I hadn't heard this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love it. And she brings up a valid point. Does Steven Crowder have wage slaves? We need to overturn this media slave
narrative
racket they got going on. Not narrative. Oh no, it's definitely
real. It's real.
A thing. It's real. It's definitely a real thing.
Well, I just want to say, when I worked at MTV, I got fired 7 times because I wouldn't do it. There was never any stipulation like you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to never talk negative about the artist. And day two, they brought me up to the press office. Carol Robinson, I'll always remember Carol Robinson, nice lady, by the way. And they said, okay, we got an interview with TV Guide. Now, mind you, this is 87. TV Guide was the biggest magazine in America. Everyone read the TV Guide. And
we had it.
Yeah, of course. And it was just going to be a little blurb, but they interviewed, the new VJ at MTV and where I come from. And, who have you met? I said, I met Madonna, which she wasn't very nice. She was pretty insincere. Carol Robinson, I thought she was going to faint because she was, of course, listening to this call. And when I was done, I said, well, how'd you think I did? I can't believe you said that about Madonna. I can't believe you said that. We're trying to get her for the VMAs. I can't believe that you, I said, oh. And right then and there, I knew, oh, okay, this is how it's going to work. So I always fought against it, and it did not work. Look, they don't invite me back for the big reunion shows. You don't see Adam doing a retro segment on the Video Music Awards.
This is what we call a habitual line stepper, Adam. Mm-hmm. You are a habitual line stepper. As am I. Yes. I actually have a T-shirt that I was given by a producer that actually says this, habitual line stepper, and that's, I think, where we meet at. You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
That's our the connective tissue between me and you, because I can't be bought.
Right.
I'm honestly.
No, we know that. You're very principled. And of course, we both believe in reptile people. So, that's another,
correct.
That's another little connection.
When they want to make it about the money, it's never about the money, because not publicly, because these deals get worked out. I mean, it's just a matter of, what percentage, what number, how many million. The other reason I think that they made this situation about the money, because if you make it about the money and you have Jewish people involved, you always can play the anti-Semitic card.
Oh, you're so smart. Yeah, exactly.
And I have a clip here. I think this is from Young Turks. Alex Jones gave his 2 cents. Can I just say something about Alex Jones? You subscribe. You and I both subscribe to the value for value, but I think selling your own product is really the only alternative to, if you don't want to be under contract. It's a lot of work. But I think that's the only other way.
Well, it's a very successful model, which I'm too lazy for it. I don't like it. I don't. Mostly it's T-shirts and swag, which is all kind of what NPR does. A public radio, you get a tote bag or a coffee mug. Yes, Alex Jones is and I've seen his operation many times. His studio is impressive, but his warehouse is even more impressive. And he's got, that's where all the staff is moving that stuff out. He's always shooting promos, evaluating products. So yeah, he's to me, that would drive me crazy. I want to focus on, and maybe that's why Alex has been driven crazy. I just want to focus on what I do and do the best at what I do. And I want the value to, like what we do, the value to come from the people who are receiving value. I want to get it back. And I'll ask for it, not shy about it.
Right.
But yes, that is
you have to wear
to
two hats.
Yes, and or you have to have a whole nother organization. It's a pain in the ass. It's not. I just never saw it as something that I would be able to do.
Right, but I was just making that point that that's the only alternative.
Yeah.
If you want to be actually free, is to have your own goods. But I think that's the only two ways you could do it, or just take a vow of poverty and just work for nothing.
Well, what we do, value for value, is close to that, but by the same token, you can say, hey, Adam, you know what? I need 2 more days. Something new came to light. We'll move it over. I can say, shit, we're our own. I think that freedom,
right,
to me, is much better than an additional $60 million and all the headache that comes with it.
And we're gonna get, like I said, this show is gonna be, it goes deeper than this. But now we got to get to the other reason to take it to the money. Alex Jones goes anti-Semitic.
There's some good people at Daily Wire. I don't want to attack them all, but I'm going to tell you, folks, they are worse than the Democrats. They are the Judas goats. They are Judas Iscariot. Ben Shapiro is Judas Iscariot.
Wow.
That's Alex Jones taking sides with Steven Crowder in the feud between him and Ben Shapiro, and everybody featured at the Daily Wire, and of course making an anti-Semitic comment in the meantime. Before we get to more of Alex Jones, we'd like to give a special someone who predicted that the right wing would turn on Ben Shapiro during Ben's argument with Candace Owens and Kanye West. We'd like to give them a little credit. So who was it? Take a look.
The reason Shapiro was in a tough spot, as we explained on day one, the minute Candace Owens said her defense of Kanye West, I was like, oh, Shapiro's screwed. Because now if he fires her, people go, oh, cancel culture. Oh, now we can't be anti-Semites. Hashtag freedom of speech, baby. Right? And a ton of the right wing are anti-Semites. And so he set up his camp in the middle of a nest of vipers. And so all of a sudden he looks around and he goes, oh, I woke up and it turns out there's vipers everywhere.
Wow.
This is the other reason why you take the conversation to money.
No kidding. And this is also disappointing. It really makes all of them look like, to me, just complete worthless people. Who cares? Now I don't. Now it's like
grifters.
Yeah, in a way, grifters. Yeah, sure. Big con. Whoa, Crowder's more right than I thought he was. Interesting.
Yeah, and like the whole idea of getting that on tape and getting the wage slaves and how they're trying to wrangle all the up and coming talent and get them under contract so they can control them. It was good business. From the business standpoint of it, you eliminate, he understands one competitor, the Blaze, because he worked there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can completely eliminate maybe the biggest outside of Fox News, but I don't even consider them, in that conversation, but you say in the quote unquote independent appearing media, that would be the Daily Wire. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I want to say Daily Mail for some reason, but the Daily Wire. So he got rid of them. He understands the Blaze. There's a lot of market share there. And he already has 100-something thousand, like you said, 100 to 300,000 strong coming in.
Yep.
And he creates himself as the I'm Moses here to free you from the big con. I'm sorry.
I like it.
But now you see, going to the money, automatically it becomes anti-Semitic. You're talking about money. You're talking about a Jewish person. It has to be anti-Semitic. And you saw the left-hand media jump right on it and run with the talking point that the Young Turks did. So this goes on. You want to hear more?
Of course. I love it.
Number 9.
Right. So the Judas Iscariot line is a deeply anti-Semitic trope. It's been used for centuries, millennia. And so when he calls Ben Shapiro, who's Jewish, Judas, that's not subtle at all. He's basically saying, look at the goddamn Jew, okay? And it's terrible, but that's terrible to all of us. For right-wingers, it's kind of music to their ears. I mean, what's the whole George Soros thing? I mean, you would think they're worried about donors. Everybody should be worried about donors, but no, they never talk about the Koch brothers or other Democratic donors that are Christian, right? Pelosi's raised $1 billion, the overwhelming majority from Christians. But they never talk about that. They always talk about Soros because he's Jewish, right? Yeah. So Shapiro thought, oh no, Judeo-Christian heritage. Yeah, how's that working out for you? So no, they were always anti-Semites. The whole thing with, we support Israel so much. You know why, right? End times theology. So that at the end, Israel and all the Jews that live there are destroyed and murdered, except for 144,000 that convert to Christianity. So the whole thing of we love the Jews is we love the Jews so you can all get murdered in our Armageddon.
Wow. Being relatively new to the Bible, but having read some of it, it's like, wow, this is an interesting angle.
Let that soak in for a minute. He said a lot. First, I've never put anti-Semitism with Judas.
No,
Judas is Matthew the sellout.
Matthew would be more appropriate if you want to do that. The tax collector.
Correct. I'm just saying that the term Judas, he's a Judas, that means you were saying one thing, but you were doing another, or you had,
you're a traitor. You're
a traitor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
which is fitting when you think about what the Daily Wire was doing. I mean, it's fitting that they say they're conservative news, but they adhere to, the talking points and the rules of big tech. So it was, but that never crossed my mind to say, oh, that's anti-Semitism. That every time you say Judas, it means the GD Jews. No. What world is he living in? I mean, what headspace? It's very telling when people go there.
I mean, he right away said, the only reason they say George Soros is because he's Jewish. No, that's just not true. Our cities are being ruined by the money that he has invested in bogus states attorney generals, and it's so bad that even liberal San Francisco got rid of theirs.
Right.
So no. Yeah.
I just found that very telling, like where he took it, and then say they're for Israel because they want to kill him.
I love that. I love that part. Yeah, because end times theology. All right, you got me.
Because every time I check, I always saw like on Fox News, it's Christians raising money for poor little old ladies in Ukraine that's Jewish.
Yes.
To get them blankets and potatoes.
I love that. I love that commercial. It's too long, but I love it. It's very funny.
So I'm just, I found, but like I said, the Daily Wire understood if we make it about the money, then the auto anti-Semitism machine will kick in, and they'll do the dirty work for us. And you're hearing it now. And he's just going off the rails with it. And we said they're brood of vipers. I think that's more anti-Semitic term. I mean, I heard that more, than Judas.
Well,
be linked to anti-Semitism.
Bringing up the vipers, I mean, that goes back to Moses, and making the bronze snake on the cross. I mean, he's confusing a lot of stuff here.
He just threw it all together. He was like, I'm just going to blame it on the anti-Semitism.
Just throw everything from the Bible in there and say anti-Semitism. That works. Okay. All right, Chunk. Well done. Well done.
So this is the third and final part of him, because we just can't do too much more of him. But he brings up an excellent group of people or name in this next clip.
Yeah, we do have a little bit more of Alex Jones, so let's take a look at that.
The Daily Wire was founded by a billionaire family out of Texas, connected to natural gas and fracking, that's involved in a real weird religious movement that backed Ted Cruz, that founded the Daily Wire to take out Breitbart and Bannon, to try to take out the populist wing of the Republican Party. Jeremy Boring has admitted that it being an anti-Trump platform was their foundation. They were backed by spook-related money and spook-related sources. Their goal, it's not a coincidence they were big backers of Ted Cruz. It's not a coincidence they were big Trump haters. It's not a coincidence they've whored for every war in existence. The Reuters, AP, Young Turks, Media Matters, all those organizations all took the spin for the Daily Wire against Steven Crowder. I think Crowder stumbled into this. Crowder didn't realize he was stumbling into an Operation Mockingbird operation. Yeah. But I mean, to give people an idea, the Daily Wire is backed by billionaires, probably $1 billion company, makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. This deal was done in order to lock up and co-op and control and cabin and contain conservative voices.
Which was what Fox News has been doing forever.
And we here at InfoWars are backed by Ultimate Bone Broth. I'm not sure if you saw that behind him. So there's that.
Yes, I too have I did a dive into the family behind the Daily Wire, and I don't know if it's a weird cult. I'm not sure. They definitely claim to be Christians. And I mean, it's big money, definitely.
You didn't find much though, did you?
I didn't find the spook money. I like it. I'd like to find out more about that.
No, I'm talking about just them over for people. They didn't mention their name in it. I thought they did, but let me just explain who we're talking about.
Yes,
we're talking about the Wilkes Brothers.
Yes, correct.
Which you didn't find very much information about them.
There's a Wikipedia page, but that's about it.
The only thing I found is like this land in Idaho that they have that they're beefing with the locals about. But like deep into politics and what their ideology is, there's like one sermon by one of the brother that's a pastor. And there's this clip I found on YouTube, this video I found on YouTube called The Secret Other Koch Brothers You Never Heard Of. So he's going to go into how secretive they are. It opens up with this clip of them talking. And then he goes into his breakdown of them. So I guess we can jump into that. But this is all I can find of them.
And bring the Bible back into the school and start teaching our kids at a younger age and, focus on the younger generation. They're being taught the other ideas, the gay agenda every day out in the world. So we have to stand up and explain to them that that's not real and that's not proper, it's not right.
The Koch brothers, Charles and David, who died in 2019, have almost become an idiom, representing corporate right-wing mega donors as a group. And indeed, they are huge. In the last election cycle, they gave more than $1.5 billion. But they're not the only ones. In fact, there are a lot more corporate mega donors like them. And one such pair are the brothers Dan and Ferris Wilkes. The Wilkes brothers don't get all of the attention that the Koch family does. They don't sit down for interviews. There's not a lot of information readily available about them. They're not on social media. There aren't even very many pictures of them. This is every photograph of the Wilkes brothers that I could find on the internet. You'll notice there are only 18. And that clip that I showed you at the beginning is the only interview that they've done in 2013 for the Christian Broadcasting Network. And I showed you that interview in its entirety.
Yeah. You're right. I didn't. There's a wiki page. That's all that I ever really found. But they are very wealthy. That's for sure.
Very wealthy. They made their money in fracking, and they're very silent to the outer world. But that's a good reason to have an outlet like the Daily Wire, because they can push their
whatever
the interest in their agenda through that. Talking to that,
and we should mention that none of this is new. Media is traditionally, look at who the New York Times, the Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, the Tribune Company itself. This is very traditional for big media companies to be owned by very rich citizens, Jeff Bezos, who use it to move their agenda. I was just looking at The Verge got $100 million investment from Penske Media Company, which is one of the kids of the Penske family, the Penske trucking empire, and of course he's been in car racing and stuff, and so now he controls very big swaths of entertainment media. This is normal, and why? Well, that's their business. Their business is entertainment media. I would consider car racing entertainment. The Penske brand is they understand how to market this stuff. So this is not new, but these guys are just really good at it.
It's new in the sense of having these renegades, come in and propping up. I don't want to say unestablished, less established.
I wouldn't even say propping up. I would say providing a foundational base.
Right. So you take these renegades, quote unquote, and you put money behind them. They haven't been vetted. They haven't went through the journalism schools and the conditioning that your average journalist have to go through, and they know how to stay in the bounds. Right? If you go through that conditioning, you know how to stay in the bounds. We even see this with like Greenwald and what's the Matt Taibbi. Even though they defected, they still stay in bounds. They won't
totally.
So that's what's different when you have people like Crowder and even the Candace Owens and people like that. They play outside of those bounds. They haven't been conditioned. Now they're fighting tooth and nail to get into that group. And they do whatever they can not to be fully canceled. They want to be reasonable. And that's the whole thing with them. They want to be reasonable, but you have a whole nother, realm, like with the Alex Jones and everybody on the outskirts. I mean, I would even put Tucker in there. I still can't figure out what the hell Tucker has over at Fox that allows him to say what he says.
That's I hate the term, but limited hangout would be the right term.
Would you say that though? I mean,
I will. Yeah.
I can see it.
His dad ran the Voice of America.
Right.
That is by definition an intelligence service from the United States government. So this is what he saw. This is how he was raised. He understands this.
So this goes back to Neely Fuller's statement that they take all sides.
Correct.
Of the argument, which I just don't understand why they give him. Is it for credibility reasons? Because he's straight up basically primetime Alex Jones at this point.
And actually, I think he's gone backwards. I'm not appreciating the stuff he's doing anymore. It's really very Twitter-like. Again, very Tim Pool-like. The stuff that I think is fantastic is his long form interviews, which I think is what he, as a creative person, wants to do. And he's dialing it in, as far as I'm concerned, on Tucker Carlson tonight. There's really rarely anything interesting. It's all outrage topics, missing the big picture of so many things. I'm not impressed. And the only thing that is very impressive is that is the one slot anywhere on mainstream that goes against Big Pharma. And that has to be a Murdoch deal where they said, look, you got to give us this. It's the rest of Fox is all pro Big Pharma, all pro military industrial complex, every single one of them. And they sandwich it between, Jesse Waters, who's just dumb, just lame. It's nothing going on there with game shows. And Sean Hannity, who, could he have any more intelligence pins? FBI, CIA, NSA. He's got all the pins on his lapel. So,
and you use the key word sandwiched.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the last 5 minutes of one show, then Tucker Carlson, and then the first 5 minutes of the next show, you get whiplash.
Yeah, you do.
It's like, what is, that's what I find fascinating about it is it's they're such counter narratives to each other. And that's why I couldn't never figure out. I mean, I get the limited hangout aspect of it, but why even go that way? I mean, is this just
ratings? The ratings are off the chart. It's astronomical.
So this is their brand, basically, of a Daily Wire and Crowder.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't think Tucker is. I think Tucker is very sincere with his daily show on Fox Nation or his interview show. I really feel he's just kind of really dialing it in for the rest. And whoever was there, they're not doing the great topics. No one will come on. He has no interviews. Only, okay, wow, let's talk to the libs of TikTok lady again. Come on,
the chicken lady.
Come on, it's come on. Who gives a crap?
Oh, the chicken lady. It's like,
the chicken lady, right?
Oh, the skunks ladies. It's like, what the hell's going on? But no, I just wanted to bring that up because the great point of the limited hangout, and that just goes to what Neely Fuller says of taking all sides. But
sure.
I'm wondering why Fox feels they have to do that. That was my question.
That gives them credibility, and it's
not really.
Meat. No, it's red meat for your typical. Look at what's happening now. So now the left mainstream, in particular CNN, MSNBC. They've got the deposition, they've got the emails where everybody inside Fox News thought Trump was a nut job. All the people that were Sidney Powell, everyone was crazy. The text messages from Tucker to Frau Ingraham and back, and our people are good people. Really talking kind of in a like our people are kind of simple who watch us. I mean the whole thing is, and I believe that's how it is internally. And so now they're taking that and they're trying to deplatform the audience, take the audience away, saying, see, they don't care about you. They don't care. Even Tucker Carlson doesn't care about you. I mean, and that's all they're doing. is trying to
news to the people over at Fox. It's not making you look better. It makes you look worse.
Of course.
Because it's like, you got 23 hours of crap, you know what I'm saying? And then you have this 1 hour. Like, it just makes you look like a bigger pile, you know, because it's like, why would you?
It's the only, they have to, from a programming standpoint, they have to have that hour there for the sandwich to taste good.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just disagreeing with their strategy because it just makes everybody else look like douchebags.
No, but of course it's horrible. It's a very manipulative strategy. And just for my money, I'm seeing Tucker Carlson not doing much more about, you know, big picture and topics than Tim Pool. It's really that level. It is not it's not good anymore.
I will agree with you on that. And what the term that comes to mind to me is red pill safe space. Like they're the on ramp for people that are dabbling with the red pill. You know, it's a good, safe on ramp. And I think that's why these people like Candace Owens go there, because this is where you can decide what brand of red pill you want to take. You know, you go to Tim Pool and you stick your toe in the water, and no pun intended, and then you figure out, oh, I want to be, you know, a Crowder type red pill, or I want a Candace type red pill, or, you know, something a little more hardcore. But
just one last
that's
thing.
how I see those.
One last thing, reading about the Wilkes Brothers. So the way the church, they, I guess, have kind of co-opted, co-founded Assembly of Yahweh, which is a Seventh-day Adventist type thing, is conservative Jews for Jesus. It's like Messianic Jews. It's very interesting. I'd love to know more about it.
Well, number 12.
Hey.
When I decided to write this video, I thought that the Wilkes Brothers were going to be just another version of the Koch brothers. Right-wing fossil fuel billionaires throwing their money around for their own personal business interests. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized that they really are their own beast. At their core, they aren't much more than small-town preachers at a Texas church who got lucky and jumped up into the Forbes 400. But that church is powerful because of them. It's reaching its arms into Austin and Washington, and it's becoming one of the most powerful churches in America. Who are these people? Who are the Wilkes Brothers? And what are they up to? I think that the coverage of these two men, to the extent that it exists, tends to treat them as co-equal partners in this relationship. And while Dan is definitely involved and definitely approving of everything that's going on, I think it's pretty clear that older brother Ferris is the senior partner in this relationship. Ferris is a little bit wealthier, he's got a larger stake in the PACs, and most importantly, for reasons we're about to get into, he's the pastor at their church. Ferris is the dirt farmer, says Dan Griffith, a local of their town of Cisco, Texas, who spoke to Reuters. Dan has more Hollywood in him.
Okay.
All right.
So there's just more information, and we can just go right into 13, because then they get more into the religious side of it, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Ferris Wilkes, and this may surprise you, is not a Christian, or a Jew, or a Muslim, or a Hindu, or really anything by his own definition. His church, the Assembly of Yahweh Seventh Day, not affiliated with Seventh-day Adventists, has been called a Messianic Jewish church. That's a controversial religious sect which claims to be Jewish but recognizes Jesus Christ as the Messiah. However, all of the major denominations of Judaism, that's Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, and Reconstructionists, all don't recognize Messianic Judaism, or as they call it, Hebrew Christianity, as a sect of Judaism. They say that it's actually a sect of evangelical Christianity, which uses the symbols of the Jewish faith to undermine the Jewish faith, tricking people into converting into Christianity. They also say that Messianic Judaism teaches Christian supersessionism, which is the idea that Judaism is not a valid religion because it was superseded by Christianity upon the death of Jesus. Rabbi Ephraim Davidson said of one prominent Messianic Jewish group, Jews for Jesus, that their techniques are manipulative, deceptive, and anti-Semitic. Likewise, a number of Protestant churches, including the Evangelical Lutherans, United Church of Christ, and Presbyterian Church, have issued statements against proselytizing Jews. However, Ferris Wilkes' church does not consider itself to be a Messianic Jewish congregation.
Oh man, I'm not schooled enough, but I can say this. One of the people who got Tina and I into going to church is a Messianic Jew, and her mother, in fact, was survived Auschwitz and wrote a book. Right. Obama gave her the Medal of Freedom or something. And she doesn't seem to be like some tricky Jew who is trying to do shit to us. I think it's kind of easy to say that, but it seems a lot more intricate than that.
Right, but this is the talking point. Yeah. What this brings up to me more than anything, Ben Shapiro's in bed with these kind of people.
Yes, partners.
You understand what I'm saying? Like. Where's the disdain that he normally has for everybody else that he had for Ye and everybody else that says anything, but he's in bed with what they consider to be Messianic Jews, and you see how they're the narrative. I want to make that very clear. The narrative about them seem to be, but nobody holds Ben Shapiro accountable. I find that interesting that he takes money from them. But they're the vipers. You see, this is the vipers that Chunk was talking about.
Yes, and I know several people who are who speak with Shapiro regularly, connected to the Manhattan Institute. So he's involved with, and that is not a Jewish or Messianic Jewish or anything. That is a more Christian, I would say. So right. Shapiro plays a lot of different on a lot of different fields.
That's what I wanted to point out, basically about who was offering the $50 million. At the end of the day, it wasn't boring, and it wasn't Ben Shapiro. It was the Wilkes Brothers that was writing that check, and they wanted another asset in Steven Crowder in their collection. That's how I see it.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, ultimately, yeah. I don't know their full involvement. I think for them it would be more like, yeah, let's get full coverage,
right? And he fits that more, like you said, if they're trying to go with the culture, because he's more into the comedy,
yes,
and the skits and things like that, and doesn't really get that much into hard news,
right,
and journalism. So that would be on brand for them. So I got some clips here. We can kind of breeze through these, but it was just more about the contract, because Kanye West, being the visionary that he is, was talking about these contracts almost 3 years ago. I mean, this was coming up. What we saw him go through with the whole DEF CON thing and everything like that was the culmination of a 3-year battle over contracts. So this is from a little over 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And this is the Joe Budden podcast, and they're speaking on the Kanye West contract breakdown.
Mo, stop trying to deflect, man. Kanye, walk us through it.
A few days. We spoke about it last pod. It doesn't seem like this is just an egotistical about him type of thing. He seems like he's just trying to change the narrative. For all artists, all creators, he's just trying to change what system has already been in place for years. And I like it. The pissing on the Grammy thing was a little far for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you have to actually go out of your way to put a Grammy in the toilet and piss on it. Like,
and then remove it from the toilet.
Yeah, because he definitely removed it. That's not still in the toilet. But it's just like...
and just imagine sitting there drinking water like, hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah, almost done. Yeah, that was just a little weird, but...
Timing out the piss.
I understand the messaging behind it, and I like it. I like what he's doing. This is probably the best Kanye rant that we've gotten, because it's not just about him. It seems like it's about all artists that he's trying to fight for, and all artist rights. So I respect that. I gotta respect it.
I love it. I'd like to see what the action plan is, because he's asking something that is, to some degree, insane when it comes to these types of deals.
What's the ask for the masters?
Just to give every artist their masters back. Like, I'm with Ye all the way on everything that he's saying. I love what he's saying. I'm with all this shit. I would just love to know what the action plan, showing me a text message to talk to them, which is great, because even talking to these people, I didn't even know they had phones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these people, I had no idea you could really text these people.
But that was part of Kanye's thing, was that we don't even know these people yet. They own more of my shit than I do.
I've heard none of these names in my entire life.
Because you can't call them, they call you.
Thank you. Right on time with the Boule. Now y'all understand how the Boule phone works.
Uh-huh.
That's how it works. It only it doesn't ring back.
Exactly.
It only dials out
one way.
So once again, this just leans to the whole point of, I'm sure that it was the Wilkes Brothers' money, but you're not going to be talking to these people. You know, I mean, you're hired help. Let's just see what you're an employee in their business. And that's what Kanye was saying with this whole situation. Like I said, we can breeze through these clips, but I just want to really, a matter of fact, let's go ahead and jump down to 17, because this is two lawyers talking about the contract in plain English. And you spoke about this. Has much changed? Is this a new conversation about contracts in the media and music, or
doubtful? Well,
so it's basically the same thing.
Well, it's interesting. I was listening to. I was in the car yesterday, driving back from my surgery. So I'm like, I just want to, my mouth is all numbed up and stuff. I'm drooling. I'm going to listen to Sinatra, Simply Sinatra, Channel 70 on Sirius XM. And there's this show where they have someone talk about Frank Sinatra and play records. And it's Tim McGrath. I think he played for the St. Louis Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. And he also did commentary, calling games, etc. But he also was a performer, entertainer, singer, and he went to Vegas on an off day with a couple of guys from the team, and they, to Sinatra's show. And Sinatra, that's kind of how it works. It's like, oh, we're going to go in, so Frank's going to call you out, say, hey, good to have you here. And Sinatra's on stage, says, hey, they're the guys from the Cardinals. We got the same boss. So what do you mean? Because, Sinatra, he was given a Budweiser. It was Anheuser-Busch. What's the name? Probably Woody, I guess, or Grinder, or whatever, the old guy. And they'd given him a beer distributorship. And you just see the power right there of Sinatra saying, we got the same boss, and so we don't really get an offer. We both have to work for the man. He's just saying that on stage. So this has always been this way in sports and entertainment. It's always been, about the Benjamins at the end of the day, and everybody who's really in it bows down to it. And Kanye is right. If you saw the most recent Grammys, holy mackerel.
Right? Now, you have to do what you're told to do, even if it's play the devil.
Yeah.
But that number 15 that we just played from I think 14 that we just played from the Joe Budden's podcast, these masters. This is the same thing that they're talking about with your rights to your content.
Yes.
That you don't own it, which I find is crazy. That you don't own what you make. I could see it either way. If I was making throwaway content, let's just say if we were making this show and it was just us yakking, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I can see it from that point. But if you're making like albums and documentaries and things like that, that'll last, that is evergreen, I guess that's the word you use for it. I couldn't see signing my rights away to it. That's crazy. I mean, that's just...
of course, this is somewhat an antiquated model. Before, back in the day, if you needed the Hit Factory or, one of these big studios, you need the right producer, you need the relationships, you need the right lawyers, all the things that a record company gives you, that's their stipulation. You don't, Paul McCartney didn't own his masters. Michael Jackson at some point owned the masters to the Beatles stuff. That's why Michael Jackson had to go, in my opinion.
I agree.
I don't own I don't own a single thing like the work I did on television in the Netherlands, the work I did on MTV. I don't get a residual from that. They can do whatever they want with that in perpetuity. So whether you want to take the money up front, which by the way is the biggest scam because there's the thing called recoupment in the music business. So you think you're getting all this money and you think that you're getting the studio, but no, you're actually paying for it yourself out of your advance. Same thing with books. So yeah, I mean that now. Yeah, and thank you for bringing this up. This is the culture of America that is going to eventually break through. Our culture is, once we take away the Amazons, book publishers, people who write books will have their own decentralized distribution mechanism, very similar to podcasting. Podcasting is the last, right now, as far as I'm concerned, the only mechanism that allows you to own and distribute anything you want your own way without anyone really being able to stop it. Thank God for Bitcoin, because now you can't financially deplatform either. This is going to happen with music, and I'm working with some really smart people who have set up hosting companies to host music that people have not licensed to ASCAP BMI, that people have not made under the auspices of owning your masters, because you don't need to do that anymore. And surprise, surprise, when you do it value for value, you make more money than you do streaming on Spotify. This is the revolution that we're going through that is going to upend everything in America. And Kanye hasn't quite seen it all yet. He sees the problems. He doesn't like the solution yet because he does like flying private. You see, and there's not a lot of private flying in the culture that we're building. It may never happen. You know, it's more like you get what you deserve. I have a great life. I can fly myself. I can take lessons. I can't fly private. See this, but I can get as far as I really need to go, and that takes a whole change of mentality. And unfortunately, I still think that when it comes to music, and it doesn't matter whether you're Taylor Swift or whether you're Kanye, image, positioning, Cristal, all the shit is a part of it. And if you don't have it, you're not seen as legit.
But see, that's the thing, though. The record company can put all that behind you, but if the people are not with you, me being, a musician and an avid music fan, they can't pick the winners. Case in point, I'm gonna give you just one case in point. Flow Rider.
Yeah.
Like he had the machine behind him, everything, but he didn't have that connectivity. The relatability is the term I want to use with the people. And that's why we pick Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kanye wasn't meant to be a star. It was that, he's relatable to, at the time, young men like me that, didn't have, we're not gangster and not this and hip hop. Mm-hmm. It's like, he's like the kid down the street that makes beats that I know. And that's what made him relatable. And that's why they can't cancel him, because the people picked him. The record labels, they can put people in front of you all day, Demi Lovato and all these people names. Nobody likes these people.
Okay. No, yeah, I agree. Yeah. But now we're right back to where we were. So where did Kanye really make his money? Not in music. He had to have his own product. He had to have his Adidas, just one of the many things, but I'll just use that as an example. He didn't control that business either. And, Alex Jones doesn't really control the contents of his product.
I agree.
It's someone else. I agree with that. And you know what? They're going after that kind of product. So, so the best way, in my mind, is if you have talent, keep it pure, and you'll get there. You'll get what you need. You'll get exactly what you deserve. Yes, you will. I've proven this over and over again. But if you think it's private jets that you want, then you got to go with the private jet crew.
Which that's the only way they can bait people in. But that's what they're doing with content creators now. Mm-hmm. Is the Mr. Beast And those kind of people like, oh, they sign deals with YouTube. So like now they're flying private jet because kids are leery about record contracts. Because, you know, like signing a record contract is kind of like signing your life away. I mean, that's kind of like
every single kid would do it in a heartbeat because they're worshiping false idols. They see it. Oh, this is great.
I'm not sure about that though. I'm not sure. I would say people my age, maybe down to 30, yes. But the newer crowd, they're like, hold on, I can upload mine to whatever, you know. But here's the point I was trying to make.
No, stop right there.
Go ahead.
That's the trap. I can upload mine to whatever. And then you get some money from the YouTube, and then you're in the trap, and then you got to do it 5 times a week. You got to trick the algos. That's the trap.
This is why it was off-putting to find out that the Daily Wire had big tech looking over their shoulder. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like, I thought we were free over here. But even that point, and a lot of people are not even monetized on YouTube to the point where I never accepted the quote unquote partnership. Because it's like, nah, I don't sign stuff I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? There's too much. Like, what can you say to me? And a lot of times, like, that's why I guess, knock on wood, I don't get bothered on YouTube, even when I post these shows. Because, like, they're making free money off of me by putting ads on it.
But they have also,
it's like, oh, he's working for free.
They've also taken one of our shows down. I think we've at least had one that was taken down.
Yeah, it was more because of the music.
Okay.
More than the content. But I'm just saying that they look at me like he's a fool. He's working for free. You know, that's how they look at it because they're making money off of putting ads on my show. But I'm like, okay, fine. I'll let you put ads on my show as long as you don't bother me. And even still, like I said, I never signed that deal. And I think a lot of people are going to that. That it's we've been here with music before. And we can kind of like rap on, you know what I'm saying, and Gary go into because we kind of cover what was in this back and forth we're having in the plain English of the contract. Because you have far more experience with these, like the music business, but we've been here before.
Well, hold on. Do you know when it was pure? When hip hop was making beats at home, putting it on a cassette, making cassettes. That was pure. That is the purest. That's like podcasting. That is completely pure. We need to go back to a version of that, a modern day version of that. And it's gonna happen with music, but they're not gonna go easy. They're gonna do everything they can to stop it because they love their plantation. And that's not just for black artists, that's for all artists. Taylor Swift, because her dad, the influence and the money he has, that's how she was able to re-record all of her masters, circumvent all the lawsuits so she could have her, quote unquote, her music back. But she too took the big money up front from Scooter. Like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Here's your bag of cash. Go make some songs. And then always later it's like, well, give me my masters back. No. So you gave it away.
And they juxtaposed her against the boogeyman, Kanye.
Of course, that was well done. That was her dad too. I'm sure he arranged that.
I can see that happening, but we are grateful to the people that allow us to be free.
Yes,
you know we don't have to get free because we never signed any paperwork. So I think it's time that we thank them.
First, the white man and the black man have to be able to sit down at the same table. The white man has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of that Negro. And the so-called Negro has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of the white man. Then they can bring the issues that are under the rug out on top of the table and take an intelligent approach to get the problem solved. That's the only way that they'll ever do it.
And I think we're doing just that. I'm very proud of the work we do here. It is Moe Factz with Adam Curry. This is Value for Value. The stuff we were just talking about, I'm going to show you how it works in practice. What we do is we do this show, and we do the best show we can. I would say Mo is really the engine, and together we bundle this up into something that gives a lot of people value, and all we ask is for people to hand that value back to us in any way that makes sense to them. We cannot look into your pocketbook. We don't know if $5 is a lot or nothing to you. And actually, today is a very interesting example of how value for value works and how surprisingly well it can work. Because we had a donor who has also supported No Agenda and Podcasting 2.0 in the last month now comes in for Moe Factz. Pseudonymous of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia. That is all we know about him. And all he asked for is just thanks. Actually, it says thank you. And he supported us for this episode with $3,506, which is mind-boggling. And I think it's the same amount he donated. It's always different amounts. We have no idea what they mean. All three of these entities it ended with a 6, and it's all in cash, which he gave us in 3 $2 bills. So there is a pattern. I've emailed with him many times, mainly to thank him. And this is just a guy who just really appreciates what we're doing. And holy cow. Thank you, Sir Anonymous. Yeah, you're going to say something? To be
valued like that, it's I don't know, it leaves you in awe.
And, and that may not be a lot of money to him. I don't know.
Of course. I mean, I'm just saying that the thought, because I'm not big on gifts. I don't like people like, what do you want? I'm like, whatever. But when you get a gift, it's like, oh, okay. Like you put a lot of thought into that. And the fact, he appreciates the show like that, that just like, okay, we're doing something right here. If I'm saying that correctly.
Certainly are for him. And I know he'll love this episode because as far as I know, I think he's Muslim. So he'll love all the religion chat. And he's the first guy to congratulate, say, happy Hanukkah to the Jews. I mean, he's really equal opportunity. Love that guy. Thank you, Sir Anonymous of Dogpatch.
Oh, wait. But you got to give him his big baller, though.
Oh, what am I even thinking? I'm so
sorry. Yeah.
I was so blown away. I'm out of practice.
Baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala.
Absolutely. Massive baller. Thank you very much. Then we have a dude named Benjamin Nidus. Also no stranger to supporting the shows. Tonight, he says, and he comes in with $366.99. I like that, the 66 and the 99 juxtaposing each other. Tonight, he says, I thought of a college history paper I wrote about the rise of the Third Reich, having done the research and writing in less than 24 hours. The all-nighter was worth it, including my high school Russian and Indian history classes that I drew upon heavily in my most recent lengthy email to Adam, which we do correspond. It's simply amazing that a podcast gets you to value your education even more decades later when I'm still learning new things, such as 3, 6, and 9, whilst being a dude named Ben. Love that, Ben. Thank you very much. Important numbers, numerology. Then we have Kevin R., $240, no note, but we certainly do appreciate it, Kevin. If you intended to send a note, we're happy to read it next time. Michael Conti, $200, he says, I find your analysis eye-opening and look forward to each episode. You know what? So do I. I never know what's coming. DDRM says, Mo, hope this email finds you and your family well. Just wanted to see if there were any issues that I could assist with concerning the $50 donations that my bank sent in December and in January. I'm getting a notice that neither one was, quote, cleared by the payee. I guess this means that the funds were sent but never acknowledged on your end. Please advise. Now, it's $150. What happened there, Mo?
It was 3 checks for $50, which that had been resolved. It was a filing issue that I lost the envelope with the checks in it. Nothing more than that.
Okay.
Because our bank in another town, it's one of those kind of things where your bank, the closest branch is
next town over.
Yeah. So I had it in my impeccable filing system, and somebody's rearranged all my papers.
Oh, yes. Oh, I hate it when that happens.
And I couldn't find them for the life of me, and they were stuck somewhere which you wouldn't believe. So that's been rectified, and
all right.
There might be some checks that might get returned as far as like just time wise.
Yeah,
but that was the issue. That's fine. You still get recognized value, so don't worry about that.
Didier, thank you so much.
Right.
Brandon Shipley, 121.76, just says value for, number 4, value for value, which it reminds me, if you'd like to learn more about value for value, built a website around that, valueforvalue.info, number 4, value.info. Kyle Mann, or Kylie Mann, I think it's Kyle Mann, $150, no note, thank you, Kyle. Adam Carter, $100. You guys are doing the Lord's work. Thank you for the brilliant and enlightening discussion. Shout out to my bro, Aaron C. of the We Talk About Dead People podcast. Donate to Moe Factz. I got to listen to that. Sounds like a fun show. We talk about dead people. $100 from Brandon Archer. You guys don't miss nothing but the hits, nothing but the hits, nothing but the MF and hits. Thank you, Brandon. 100 from Brian Burgess. Sent email as a donation note to Gmail. Is that one of the pieces of paper?
I searched, but I couldn't find it.
Okay, Brian.
Try one more time.
Resend it. Send it to, you can try me if it didn't go to, to Gmail. Who knows? Adam@curry.com. See if we can get it
And
through.
we'll read it right at the top of the next show.
Of course. We have Dame Vox of the Gateway, and she sends us $100 and has a note here, which it was happily, Mo, you scanned it for me. Happy solstice. Wow, this is coming a little late. Happy solstice. I really appreciate what you guys are doing here. I won the COVID trifecta. Within 2 years, I lost my father, my mother, and my best friend. None died as direct cause of C-19. All of them are dead today in some sense because of the media and its irresponsible portrayal of the disease and the jab. For that reason, among numerous others, I will forever be loyal to independent media V for V style. Wow, it's very nice. Tim, my
appropriate for the show.
Yes, Tim, my best friend for 30. Yeah, mainstream media kills people. Tim, my best friend for 30 plus years, was a black dude, and I'm a white chick. Back in the 90s, nobody cared. Oh, girl, you should have seen the 70s. We were like, everyone wanted a fro. I think it was a golden age with regard to race. Sure, we saw color, but we didn't give a crap about it. Our sex didn't matter either. We were just two people who both loved music, weed, excellent food, craft beer, gaming, and we had mutual respect and admiration. I miss Tim. I like it, though, that your podcast seems to try to capture some of what we had and maybe bring it back. Please credit this donation to him. He would have liked you too. Blessings from Dame Vox of the Gateway. What a beautiful note, Dame Vox. Thank you. And of course, we've always had our troubles, but believe me, it was way. And Mo and I have spoken specifically about the 70s, and our parents really messed us up, to be honest. But it's never really
making
been
us dress up to go play.
Yes, right. It's never quite been this bad. Sir Alexander, 100. Here's some coin to help the cause. Keep up the great work, Sir Alexander. Thank you. Philip B. Brown, $100, 73.
I think you skipped over.
G. Allen G. I'm
H.
sorry. Yes, G. Allen H. Also $100. Who? Let me see. Which also sent in a note. I think it's this one. Mr. Factz and Mr. Curry. Great handwriting. A little value for value. Thank you all for the effort it takes to give the world the Moe Factz show. Love the content. Just.
Wish for
a day when we all would have the discussions Mo and Adam have. Please keep the episodes coming. Best wishes, be well. Thank you. Wow, great handwriting. I wish I could write like that.
We all.
Right. So we did Sir Alexander. Thank you very much. Philip B. Brown, 173s, he says. Kilo 15 November Tango Yankee, 75, 73s. Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie Charlie. Ham radio talk. Tavia Willis, $100. Tavia says, blew my mind on the last one, guys. Thank you. My mind is always blown when we do this. Those are our executive producers. Now we have some associate executive producers, and we'll read those. Those go up until 50. And we will read in a second showing. We'll read the rest. And we kick it off with Kyle Stefano, 90. Oh, that's Dame Kylie. Is it Kylie? Yes. Kylie. Thanks and love from Dame Girl Kylie. And I think her name is Kyle, even though it's Kylie and she's a girl. And I've gone through this so many times with her, I'll never get it right. But thank you for the Dame Girl part. Bradley Taylor, Show 90 donation, GBG. These are both Show 90 donations, so you do get a special spot in the credits. Give Blacks guns. Thank you, Bradley. Matthew M, $60. No note. No note from Michael Romano, but $55.33. Magic number there. C. Davis, $53.33. No note. Eric Hokel from Deutschland, $52. Thank you, Eric. Brian Richardson is at the $50 level. I waited too long to donate. I apologize, but I knew Q1 was going to get everyone back on track, so I have to reciprocate. V for V. It's great seeing 2 episodes in less than 2 to 3 weeks again. We try. We need Moe Factz. P.S. I love Don't Be a Menace, and the hashtag GBG jingle is the best, followed by Martin Lawrence's Woosa. Keep on keeping on. Okay, hold on a second. Now, I guess he's asking for these?
Yes, I believe so. And you missed, this goes for Bradley as well.
What did I miss?
The GBG jingle.
Oh, but I'm looking for the Don't Be a Menace. Was that, that
is the GBG jingle. That's from the movie.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I got it here.
Do we have a ballot?
Woosah.
Woosah.
I got it. There we go. Edwin Torres, $50. GBG.
Do we have a ballot?
$50 from Janice O. $50 from Janice O. Let's see. Here we go. Dear Moe Factz, thank you for episodes and more or less. Thank you for
84.
84 more or less, and 85. Overman, was that what he titled it?
Mm-hmm.
I love the wormholes, rabbit holes, and mole holes. Yours, Janice, with a smiley face. Thank you very much, Janice.
Another great handwriting.
Right. Jill Woods, thank you. There you go. People who listen to Moe Factz have beautiful handwriting. Fact. Jill Woods, $50. Thank you for being awesome. May I please have some Mo Karma? Well, of course you can.
You've got
Mo Karma.
Judy Schwartz, $50. Thank you both for enlightening us to the game plan. Anytime. Rami M, $50. Cards and business cards?
Yep. She has the card and she has the pottery business.
Let me see.
No, not pottery. Excuse me. The basket weaving biscuit.
I see it here.
The basket weaving biscuit.
Biscuit for her birthday in a basket. Rami McKinney. There you go. Basket weaver, fiber artist, and teacher. And she says, learn something every time I listen. Thank you. Well, thank you. That's cool. I like that. She should have a website.
She does.
I don't see it on the card.
No. She has a phone number and an email address. Which, if you're looking to get in touch with her, we'll try to find some way to post this.
Definitely.
Basket weaver, though.
I'm sorry.
I said basket weaver.
It's a joke, but not really. But there are basket
not
weavers.
Really. Not her work. It's no joke.
And also nice handwriting.
Folks, Easter is coming up. So
yes, baskets. You need a basket. My jaw hurts, Mo. I've been smiling and laughing this whole show.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
This is the wrong. I should have did a sadder show.
No. Yeah, exactly. Sadder, depressing shows for Adam's health. Robert Stager, $50. New money. Thank you. We love the new money. Thank you, Robert. Justin D, our final associate executive producer, $50. Each episode has a mind F. 89 for me was at it says hashtag 89s for me was at 90 minutes. So is that where it blew his mind at 90 minutes?
Yeah, I think so. That's when he got the tarp out. Yep.
Got the tarp out. These are the executive and associate executive producers for episode number 90. I'm going to do some boostograms real quick because people really been doing a great job using a modern podcast app. In fact, they're so modern, they are now just the podcast apps. You can find one of these at podcastapps.com, which we now have someone secured that domain for us. podcastapps.com. That's where you can find many of the Value for Value podcast apps. I would suggest trying Fountain. People seem to like that, or Podverse. There's Cast-O-Matic if you're on iOS, a great app for Apple phones. The Breeze app, and all of these you can buy Satoshis right there in the app with your card. No longer have to do it through Cash App. You can send it straight to us while you're listening to the show with a boostagram or not. As we see 333,333 sats from Absurdient, no message, but we really do appreciate it. 200,000 sats from Bully Steed. And Bully Steed says, with my $45, etc. to the P.O. box, this should add up to show number 90. Okay, so that would probably, let me check the accounting here, because that would mean...
Yeah, I don't see Bully on here.
Well, we have Betty S.
Maybe it's Bully. I don't
Is Betty S. Bully?
Well, I don't know. When we're going to put him up in the show title, I mean, just off the honor system.
Of course. That'll be the show donation number.
Right.
Could use some Mo Karma. Thank you both for being a light in the tunnel.
You've got
Mo Karma.
We've got Jacob Davis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sats. These are good numbers. Keep up the great work. I'm excited to hear what you'll deconstruct next. 100,000 sats from Dennis K. Love you both. 55,072 from Merlin. Thank you. Eric 99 with 50,000 sats. Stay humble. Stack sats. Wise words from Odell. 369.69 from Hey Citizen. This show is one of the most magical. Hits me in the feels every time. Too bad I can't afford what it's worth. Well, no, that's exactly what we're talking about. Whatever you can afford, if that's your max, that's worth a lot, and we appreciate it. Woosaw from Todd in Northern Virginia with 20,000 sats. We'll hand your Woosaw there.
Woosah.
And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 20,000s in a row. So that really puts Van the Man Jr. up there with 210,000, if I get that. 140,000, if I got that correctly. Another great listen. Keep reversing the conditioning, please. One more in the finished column. Listening my way to current. More to catch up. Catching up on the back catalog. Doing some catching up. Defragment me, please. We do deadbeating here.
Congratulations. You're no longer a deadbeat.
A satchel of Richards, also known as a bag of dicks, from Joel W., 11,111. Mark C. with 10,500. Cas Peeland says, wow, what a show. Eat your beef and peas, and please keep talking, with 10,000 sats. Sir Doug, Happy New Year. Thank you, Sir Doug, 10,000. Then we have, let's see, Count of San Francisco, 9999. Thank you very much for your donation. Dave Ackerman with a boob, 8008. Value for Value, episode 89. Dabo Zach with also a boob donation, 8008. No note. Green Sheep with 6969. Asked for a deducing.
Congratulations. You're no longer a deadbeat.
And then another 115,000 from Tavia, who also came in strong on the last episode. Nothing intelligent to say, just thanks for the quality content, guys. You better believe it. These are, we even went a little bit under the 5,000, but these are the boosters. Thank you so much. We read all of them. If you're in the Fountain app, you can read them as well. Fountain works great, but you can also use any Value for Value enabled app at podcastapps.com. And thank you all so much for supporting Moe Factz with Adam Curry. You can do that for your PayPal or Cash App donations. Go to the donation page at mofactz.com, or go directly there at mofundme.com, MOEFUND.com. Thank you very much for supporting episode 90, Moe Factz with Adam Curry.
All right, so now we got into the, just the surface level back and forth with between Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire, but now we got to go into what the accusation means when you say Bitcoin is in bed with big tech. We got to go back to the Hills report and we're going to pick up with clip number 21.
This is a guy who says that literally his brethren in conservative on the conservative right is in bed with or has these cushy deals with a lot of the big tech companies. Well, guess what? So does everybody. Big tech is the reason why many of us have voices in media. They carry the message on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. All of that's big tech. Without big tech and some level of communication with them, you would not have a voice. So it's interesting to me that he is using this as a demonization, but also that, to Candace's point, and I don't agree with Candace often, if you are going to have these squabbles, you could have had this with them personally. This never had to come into the public square. The recording didn't have to happen. Turn down deals. I'm sure everybody on this panel, all of us have probably turned down deals before. We didn't make a public hubbub about it. It's just not that deep.
Wow. Who is this speaking?
I didn't get her name. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
She's a contributor for The Hill.
No, we all got our deals. We got offers all the time, right, Mo?
You wouldn't hear from us if it wasn't for big tech. We're owned by them. We bend over. Look, just bend over, Crowder. How are you special? I don't think you're supposed to bend over.
Everybody, big tech. Thank you, big tech. Thank you, our overlords. The big tech model is you do all the work, you get nothing. We get all the money. That's how it works.
But then they wonder why they're not worth $50 million. It's like,
right.
You're not worth $50 million because big tech is doing all the heavy lifting. And to be honest with you, your content's not that interesting. I'm just sorry. I mean, I don't want to be that way, but you have to be interesting to stand out and build your own following.
You have to make an outstanding product. That's the bottom line. Make an outstanding product.
They're plug and play. And it's like, if you're plug and play, then you can get unplugged easily and thrown on the scrap heap.
Think about how lame it really is. If you really step back and look at most of these quote unquote shows, it's distributed on big tech, and it's about big tech content. It's about what someone said on Twitter, and then it's about what someone else said on this YouTube. And we're going to talk about what that YouTuber said on YouTube. They love it. That's the whole model for them.
What more Twitter more so, and that's why I say when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he actually just bought the AP. I mean the modern day version of the AP, because whatever trends on Twitter, and that could be AstroTurf. They can make trend whatever they want to trend.
Of course, yeah. That's what you want. That's what you want.
It bleeds down to YouTube. People make videos about it on YouTube. Then it eventually makes its way to articles and op-eds.
And then articles become points of discussion on YouTube and on Twitter. It's very circular.
And if it's viral, then it goes to local news where it meets.
and then Tucker picks it up, or the CNN picks it up. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's pretty much the point. But it was just how the matter of fact, she said, "Oh yeah, we're all in bed with big tech." I found that to be interesting because, well, let's go on and get to the second part, and we're gonna have to get what does that really mean.
But the accusation he's making against the Daily Wire that that's really what's at the heart of this, that because in his deal they would take money, deduct money from him if he gets in trouble for the things he says and is suspended or something on YouTube or elsewhere. Having that clause in the contract would be like the Daily Wire caving to big tech censorship. That's the accusation, which is a really that's a really serious charge to put on a conservative company like the Daily Wire that's always complaining about Disney and other places, doing what woke censors want. Whatever.
But I would question how uncommon this actually is, and I say that just because
not uncommon at all.
If you become deplatformed to a certain extent, or your viewership is removed for any reason, and the entire contract was based on the viewership and what you were able to bring along with it, wouldn't that automatically mean that at some point you lose your value to them. I feel like that's
basically exactly what Jeremy Boring said in his response video. Said, look, if we're going to spend $50 million on you, if your ability, it wouldn't be us punishing you, but if YouTube punishes you and you're bringing in far less viewers and far less dollars, we couldn't continue to pay that amount.
Yeah, who's slave to who?
Well, we know who the slave is, and outlets that take these slave contracts are the overseers, pretty much.
Yeah,
but they tell what their big tech masters tell you what to say. It's like you know the guidelines, the rails. Just stay in bounds. You won't have any problems. Which that's censorship in itself. Which that's the whole point. This is what I was saying about Tucker Carlson for a minute. I don't think they understand that if Fox goal is to make themselves look better, it only makes you look worse because like now you're saying what you could be, but you're not. You see what I'm saying? Like, because I don't think they understand the audience that tunes into conservative media. And I'll just say alt media for that standpoint, because we had the same thing with the ADOS conversation. Once it got picked up and taken to the
Russian bots,
big media, it was Russian bots. That was the natural response to it. So, but for the people, the quote unquote, what I call the black thumbs, they don't understand that our litmus test to if you're quote unquote real or not is very sensitive. And that goes to the conservative side, even the liberal side, and definitely in the black media space, that they try to create like Roland Martins, but once you start talking, we pick up on the Boule talking points, and it's over. So that's why I think it's so damn. Even she said it herself that it's so damning when you make this allegation to the Daily Wire is that it makes them impotent.
Yes, right away.
In a very serious way, which I think that's why you even said yourself, he didn't say their name, but they had to come out and do damage control just off the, because people like, it got to be Daily Wire. It was no confirmation. They confirmed it themselves.
Which there was a reason for that.
Yeah, because you can't let that thing linger. We got to get it about the money so we can make it about anti-Semitism.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And get people to shut up talking about it. But I ain't. We got to talk.
No.
Yeah, because it was an allegation made in the Alex Jones set of clips that this was Operation Mockingbird. So you want to give people what your idea of Mockingbird is, and then we're going to get into a very interesting person that has an opinion on it.
Mockingbird goes back to the mid to late 60s, and the CIA specifically was either directly in positions of journalistic importance within the U.S. mainstream media, particularly CBS, Evening News, but also the New York Times. Members of my family were actually, in a way, involved in this to a degree, because there's another layer, which would be people who would hand off stories and quote unquote news to editors, etc., and media. And there's a third part of that, which is the circular reporting, where you do this. I'll just give an example. You have an agent or someone who is able to get something published in the Nairobi Times that is politically important to the U.S. or the intelligence agencies, and then they will talk to their counterparts at the New York Times and say, well, you can just report on this because, look, you can say, according to the Nairobi Times. This all came out in something called the Church Commission, led by, I think it was either Senator or Senator Church, where this was admitted openly, although they couched it a bit and some had to be done in closed session, that indeed CIA works within mainstream media. At the time was only a few corporations, and they were in doing this. And I think that even though laws were put in place as part of that Smith-Mundt the Smith-Mundt Act, which forbade the American government in any way, including the Voice of America, to commit propaganda on the American people. That was overturned in 2012 during Barack Obama's presidency as part of the National Defense Authorization Act. And the reason why is the same outfits that Tucker Carlson's father worked for and controlled at the time were saying, well, now there's the internet, so we can't function without the risk of creating some propaganda on our own people because, hey, it's the internet. And they went, oh, you're right. And they overturned it. And so now I think since then, since 2012, it's never been as bad with assets reporting either directly or controlling news media, and in fact, all media in totality. And I would say that we're in Mockingbird 2.0 or maybe 3.0 at this point.
And it might be micro Mockingbird. I mean, it's this term I just coined because listen to you explain it. I knew how it worked.
Yeah.
But just listen to you think about it. Now they don't have to plant the stories. And
no,
you're
they
saying
just publish
foreign
them on
newspaper.
Twitter. Just go for
well,
it.
they don't even have to publish it. They can find somebody making the point and just put the amplify it.
For instance, I believe Barry Weiss is micro Mockingbird. And she, because she has, I also think to a degree, possibly, maybe not even 100% in their own, with all their knowledge, but I think Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, they are also receiving Mockingbird talking points. Even, I would say, even the entire Twitter files from Twitter is very similar to what Glenn Greenwald did with Snowden. Maybe 5% of what Snowden revealed was published in the Guardian and the New York Times. And I think what is being sent from lawyers and other people who have the actual access to the documents is also being heavily redacted and filtered into Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss and others who are reporting on Twitter. We're just getting a little bit of what really was going on there. And it already is quite astonishing what was going on that we know about.
And I wouldn't even go as far as saying it has to be known people. If we go back to the show about the Popeye's chicken sandwich, they took unknown people,
right,
amplified the story, nudged the hell out of people, and then you have groups of people lined up around the corner buying a chicken sandwich just off of a news story that they created out of thin air by amplifying tweets.
It's called PR.
Right. So I'm just saying that's the they don't even have to hand the stories off anymore because you have so many opinions in the ocean that is Twitter that you can just pluck it out and say, okay, this is one we want to amplify. And okay, we'll put, we'll put the machine behind it and it'll get people talking. All it has to be is a binary. You see these stupid stories like, do you wash your legs? Do you wash the backside of your plate?
Yeah.
I think these are all tests to see, it's like a stress test to see is our machine still
test,
working?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
right.
And if you read the Twitter files, you see that there's just as much talk of suppression as there is of amplification.
Correct.
So,
and that's why I call it micro Mockingbird, because you don't need all these established agents anymore and assets. We could take anybody, and they're so happy to be viral. Yes. They don't even ask any questions, and that's kind of how Candace came about, if you think about it, because she made the I'm walking away or Blexit or I'm a black person that's no longer going to be a Democrat. And they were like, yes, fired up. And they put all the resources behind her. So thank you for your explanation of Mockingbird. We can go and get into 23. And it's just further about what you just explained.
So I feel pretty comfortable stating that if the entire mainstream media network is for or against something, you should probably edit your opinions to be the opposite of what theirs is, because it's pretty clear that they don't act.
Wait, what'd she just say?
She said, if the entire mainstream is doing one thing, you should do the opposite. Is that what she said?
But didn't the entire didn't we just hear from the Hill that the entire mainstream got behind? No, it wasn't the Hill. It was Alex Jones said it clips. that the entire mainstream got behind Daily Wire.
Yes. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Let's continue.
You should probably edit your opinions to be the opposite of what theirs is, because it's pretty clear that they don't actually have any individual opinions, these journalists, right? They're always in lockstep on various narratives. So yeah, it does sound like they are a bunch of mockingbirds, which is appropriate, of course, because that was the CIA program title. It was called Operation Mockingbird. You are not a conspiracy theorist for knowing the truth, and you are correct if you know about the Mockingbird being something that the CIA has never discontinued. So,
Yeah.
They never discontinued it, huh?
No, of course not.
So y'all work for big tech,
Right.
and big tech get from the Twitty leaks. They take their marching orders from alphabet letter agencies, 3-letter agencies.
Yeah.
So they directly or indirectly work for
the government, for the
the government.
Well, and let's make it very clear. CIA runs the whole show. CIA is very careful. They control the FBI. The CIA runs the presidents, except for Trump. That was probably the Defense Intelligence Agency. Everyone's very afraid in Washington of the CIA. They're out of control. There's no oversight. No one knows how much money they have. No one knows what they do. And they run the show. They run the entire show, in my opinion.
But I believe you're correct on that. But I just find it interesting that she made this show prior to the release of what was going on, and even it's crazy that even to bring up Operation Mockingbird or Paperclip or whatever operation used to be, oh, you can't say that, or you become a tinfoil hat wearer. Now it's okay to bring it up. It's okay for Tucker to talk about it, for her to talk about it, and still be taken as a serious journalist.
And that's what I mean by limited hangout.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, this is what makes it work. This is that perfect combination of put something out there, people go, oh yeah, wow, yeah, right on. And then that's all you need. That's all you need.
The only thing I'm pushing back against is not against you, to Fox, if y'all listening. It's not working. It only makes you look worse. It's not the desired effect is doing the opposite.
Right. But for now, the numbers are killing it. Ultimately, that's all they care about. The ratings are killing it. But yes, I agree. In the long run, they'll lose. I believe that too.
Yeah, because it just makes it like the other 23 hours worth of news, like, oh. And it makes it stick out like a sore thumb with your analysis of being a limited hangout. It's like it has to be. Mm-hmm. Because if it was business related, it'd be like, oh, we need more Tuckers.
Exactly.
We need to get this whole block.
Exactly.
From 7 to 10 with more Tucker-like thought process or thought like
thinkers, like the same
school of thought. Yeah, school of thought.
Same time of people. Yes, that proves it right there. Absolutely.
So I'm with you on that one, but they don't understand. That's just like they came up with the term fake news, and like they didn't, not them, but the mainstream media. And I don't think they understood how people were going to take that and weaponize it back against them. You're dealing with a smarter audience now. And I don't think they realized that.
Well, I think Trump caught that from them, and he's the one that he didn't invent the fake news. He turned it around and used it as a weapon against them.
That's what I'm saying. The mainstream media invented it. It's the same thing. It's like they invent these things. They don't understand how memes work. Right. It's like a fact check. Like now, if you fact check something, that's a roundabout way of saying it's true.
Yeah. Yes, pretty much. And people all know that it's bullcrap.
Correct. So let's go ahead and get into the second part of this Operation Mockingbird.
First and foremost, in case you are not aware of what Operation Mockingbird was and still is, it was a large-scale project undertaken by the CIA beginning in the 1950s, in which they recruited American journalists into a propaganda network. The recruited journalists were put on payroll by the CIA, which means me and you, we paid for that, and instructed to write fake stories that promoted the views of the intelligence agencies. So some journalists were assets to the CIA and were on the payroll. Other journalists were unsuspecting assets of the CIA because they thought that they had a leak, that they were being given information. And they ran with the stories because they thought they were being told the truth.
Right. Ever since Donald Trump was president, we've heard sources say, sources familiar with the president's thinking, sources who are in the know. That's your intelligence right there.
Sources close to the matter.
Close sources. I like the one, sources familiar with the president's thinking. That's always my favorite.
But it like I said, I'm just laying this out in her own words. Now, if you look through the lens that she's creating at what transpired between the Daily Wire and Crowder, it makes them look like agents.
Yes, 5 by 5.
And I think they have to. I think they realize that, and that's why she had to come out and say that's a B move, and it's about the money. It was always about the money. He wanted $120 million, and it's about the no. It's that you're, and I just had to reiterate this point. You work for the government. That whole operation is maybe indirectly, but you work for the government. Just like it was okay, you had to get the okay signal to start questioning the jab. No, they had to look both ways. It's like, okay, now we can start questioning Fauci. You were all in for it. When I say you, Daily Wire as an operation, we're all in on for the jab.
Yeah,
and you're gonna kill grandma. That was their. They were using those kind of talking points. But then it's like, okay, we need to pivot. And this is white supremacy taking both sides of the argument, or all sides of the argument. To the point where this is the problem with binary, because if you buy into the binary itself, you're taking the bait.
Yep.
Don't buy into look for that's kind of what we try to do here is the shades of gray. We're not, I'm Team Crowder or I'm Team Daily Wire. No, it's a far bigger narrative that we need to be looking at other than just like some conservative beef.
Right.
All right. So this is old documentary. And this is how the media are used by the CIA to manipulate public opinion, lies. Public opinion, lies, disinformation, and covert actions. So this is a former agent. He's gonna just give us more of how the sausage is made. We don't have to listen to all of them, but I thought it was just interesting to hear it from the horse's mouth.
I sent over a paper to the State Department for their press rep, the Harding Carter, the guy that speaks out every day on world events, to read. And I had 4 paragraphs in it because the situation was changing that night. And I said, with a note, call us before you go on the air in the morning. I'll tell you which paragraph to read. And they were all 4 totally false. And they, as a matter of fact, they called in the morning and I said, paragraph 3, and they read paragraph 3 and went with it, which is utter complicity in putting out the propaganda, the disinformation.
So that was the CIA giving the information to the State Department to put out on our media.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is very important. I like these clips. So the State Department is very important because what do they have around the world? Embassies. So you will find that most people who work at an embassy are, in fact, assets. They are intelligence agents. The State Department has their own intelligence agency, which is small but very effective. I think Hillary Clinton last managed that very well. So it's basically, if you look at all of it, there's 15, 16 intelligence agencies, also known now as the IC, the intelligence community. This is what they do. There's not a lot of jumping out of airplanes and spying anymore, listening through walls. I mean, sure, it happens, but this is really what they do, is drive the messaging. Of course, this is also when President John F. Kennedy said, hey, we got secret societies. He was talking about the intelligence apparatus, and they killed him over it.
the CIA has salted its agents throughout the Congress, every committee. It's done this, it did it 3 decades ago.
Oh, yeah, this is the Senate Intelligence Oversight Committee. All spooks.
And we're seeing it once again, but it's standard. But we did have, in November of 75, we had the CIA director, Bill Colby, who had been putting out our propaganda line to the Senate, our lies, was tied up on a trip or something. And so Bill Nelson, the deputy director of operations, went over to stand in for him. And he said before he went, "I'm not going to lie." And he just flat said it in a staff meeting. He said, "I'm retiring in 3 weeks, and I'll be damned if I'm going to spend my retirement answering perjury charges." So he went over there and told the truth. Now, Ambassador Mulcahy said one thing, and then Nelson testified and said exactly the opposite. And so they had a direct head-to-head contradiction. And so the senators nailed Mulcahy. "One of you gentlemen is lying." And so Mulcahy asked for the opportunity to speak again, in which he clarified his statements and told the truth. But the interesting thing was that testimony refuted everything else we had been saying for 3 months. They did not investigate and follow up on it and indict, especially Bill Colby, for perjury, which they could have on the basis of that. They just let it go. There was no follow-up to it.
Yes, and the reason for that is the pure fright most people in Washington have for the intelligence agencies. You recall, I'll actually see if I can find it. Chuck Schumer, I don't think I have this. He was on Rachel Maddow's show, and he was saying
6 Ways to Sunday.
That's right. He was saying how stupid Trump was to go against the intelligence agencies because they have 6 ways to Sunday to get back at you. Because Schumer knows. It was a brilliant moment.
The emphasis of this documentary is about the CIA and the media. But there's a larger framework in this, too, which we've talked about in our program from time to time. And that is the overall lying of the State Department, the White House. Is this a coordinated thing, or do all these organizations just do their lying separately and it adds up to one big falsehood?
Read Noam Chomsky's Turning the Tide to get a feeling for the way it's what they call the establishment in the 60s, the way they are committed, the elites that run the country, which includes the State Department and the CIA and presidents and politicians. They have a charter, to run the country in their interests. And this means that they not exactly lockstep, but they just presume to have the right to mislead people. It's part of the way the United States is, and God knows most other countries as well. They are not bound by honesty and integrity.
And this is, I think this showed up on YouTube not too long ago. It's a 1983 interview, this agent, and I'll put that link for the full interview. We have most of it here, but put that in the show notes. And let's just listen to the last one, since I'm digging this. I like hearing this.
Their whole ethic is they're doing illegal things, and they teach you from the first day in training cover stories, and you practice them at length, and the director practices them, and when he briefs the Congress, he does the cover stories. White House staffers are not trained professionally, but there it's in the ethics of politics, ethics of the business. They're putting out a myth about the world, a myth about the United States' nature. Chomsky notes that the compelling force, the ethic against which all foreign policy decisions are made, is defense of the fifth freedom. The four freedoms were Roosevelt and Churchill in January of 41. We were fighting the war for the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, freedom from fear. And the fifth freedom is what, has compelled our actions in reality then and ever since. And that's the United States' freedom to rob, exploit, and kill. And every situation is measured by our right. Our imperial right. It's not a divine right.
Stop. I want you to rewind it back maybe 10 seconds, and when he says the fifth freedom, listen to the cold laughter.
Yeah. Here we go.
the four freedoms were Roosevelt and Churchill in January of 41. We were fighting the war for the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, freedom from fear. And the fifth freedom is what, has compelled our actions in reality then and ever since. And that's the United States freedom to rob, exploit, and kill. And every situation is measured by our right, our imperial right. It's not a divine right, but our imperial right.
Yep.
Did you hear? He wasn't denying it. He was like, "Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we do kill like a mug." Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, just look at our lifetimes, Mo. If you're brown and you live in a sandy area, you're in trouble.
But they tell me I'm crazy when I use the term white supremacy. Exactly. When they throw around terms like establishment, imperialism,
same thing.
That's the same exact thing. The only problem is those are like all whimsical names. It doesn't really give you any identifier or, it's just like, oh, yeah, it's the empire. Well, it's just the empire. We're just killing like we normally do.
But how about this for a thought? The whole reason behind the acceleration and amplification of racial division, specifically white-black, is for this reason, so that you can't expose the white supremacy.
They're hiding in plain sight, and they're pushing the orange people out there to be the face of white supremacy. Like, oh yeah, that's the white supremacy you want. But at the same time, using their tactics and power to treat them like people of color.
Correct.
They're stripping away. This is why I said privilege is given to you, and only white supremacists can give that privilege. They have supremacy.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? They don't need privilege. It's like, oh, we can just like that laugh. That laugh.
Oh yeah, it's cold. It's cold.
Yes, we kill, we lie. And notice the four freedoms that they were talking about before is exactly what's under attack right now.
Yep.
The freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, the freedom of lack of fear, to live without fear. No, you need to be afraid all the time. You need to watch what you say. You know what I'm saying? Don't be vocal about what you believe. And I forgot I think the last one, a freedom of want. No, you need to be dependent on the government.
Yep.
And we're going to use the fifth freedom to ensure, we manipulate those first four freedoms.
We will look at Afghanistan. Look at Ukraine. Look at Taiwan will be next. And this benefit. Go ahead.
Look at the neighborhoods that Soros is destroying with his agents. Those criminals are agents of Soros. I don't care what you say. Him getting them out of jail, and they're running. They're running. These neighborhoods and beating old people and robbing stores and everything else. They're giving white privilege to these criminals.
Yep.
Like, yes, that fifth freedom, we're going to give y'all criminals privilege to exercise that fifth freedom. On who? It doesn't matter. The people close to proximity.
The rest.
Right. As long as you create the fear and the want, and they better not say anything. This is why I do what I do, because Neely Fuller said it, if you don't understand white supremacy and how it works, everything else will confuse you.
Yes.
And confusion and chaos is the goal. It's just that laugh. You know what? That's the first time I heard that laugh. As many times I listened to the clipping it, but that laugh, like, yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, like it's that's troubling to me. That's troubling. But that was back in the day. I think you said 1983.
83, yeah.
Tucker Carlson. He's gonna in the way he does, and like I'm glad they're saying that out in public because it allows us to clip it and break it down and analyze it.
Well,
but this is how it works. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so Tucker is perfect for this role. Because I listen to CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS all the time, and usually in the car because I have the Sirius XM, so I can hear the cable news as well. And to the T, every single show, Ari Melbourne, Joy Reid, all of them, Aaron Burnett on CNN, Anderson Cooper, CIA asset. They're all playing little clips of intros to these stories that come from Twitter, and they're just saying, wow, they've gone so nuts over there. Tucker Carlson has gone completely nuts. He thinks the FBI was running Twitter. Oh, no, listen to this stupid conspiracy theory. So they completely they use this to steer everyone away because that's just nut job Tucker Carlson. That's just, Tucker Carlson doesn't even believe in Trump. Here's the text messages, which, of course, is very nuanced. So it is the perfect opportunity to distract everyone into believing that this is just another fake news conspiracy theory from Fox News and conservative media that Twitter was running, or that the FBI was running Twitter. And by the way, Time Magazine, 2010. Mark Zuckerberg, Man of the Year. Have we talked about this? I'm sure we've talked about this before.
No, I don't think we have.
Okay, I've talked about it so much that let me see. 2010, Man of the Year, Mark Zuckerberg, Time Magazine. He's in the interview itself. It's printed. I'll put the link in the show notes. Zuckerberg is talking to Time Magazine, doing an interview, and then it says, all of a sudden, okay.
I thought it was a clip, but
no,
okay,
no.
yeah,
I wish it were a clip. All of a sudden, man puts it, sticks his face in the door. Hey, I was just downstairs in my office in the building, just wanted to say hi, and that was Robert Mueller, director of FBI, who was director of FBI 2 years longer than statutorily permitted. They had to have, to carry over from 2008 into Barack Obama's term. They allowed him to stay on as FBI director 2 more years against the law because FBI had such a bad reputation from its history, which we've discussed on this very show, that no director was allowed to be director for more than 10 years. Except Robert Mueller, we had to keep him for a couple extra years because he knew where all the bodies were buried. And there he was in the Facebook offices, and even in the reporting of the article, the journalist said that was one of the weirdest things I ever saw. And no one really knew what to do with it because that's how they've been in these companies since day one.
And wait, this is the mind screw. Take 2 steps back and look at it. Me and you both know who created the internet and social media.
Yeah, of course.
It's the government running this governmental organization. That's the thing. Like, the way they frame it is like, oh, Facebook is this corporation, independent, and it has government oversight. No, it's a government agency with private facing CEO.
Look at
it's cognitive dissonance. I had to say this.
Yeah, but even
because I hear people say this all the time, and when people say, "Oh, I had COVID 3 times, 4 times," it's like, how do you know? How do you know you had COVID? We all know the PCR test is bullcrap.
Mm-hmm.
Even people didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm just saying this. This is how tricky this stuff is. They'll stuff you know and believe. They'll have you speak against it out of being contrary.
Correct.
We both know who created, you know what I'm saying, Facebook. We know that was a government creation. So why wouldn't it be ran by the government? It kind of like, oh, it's just government oversight.
The door opened. I'm reading from the article. The door opened. A distinguished-looking gray-haired man burst in. It's the only way to describe his entrance, trailed by a couple of deputies. He was both the oldest person in the room, 2010, by 20 years, and the only one wearing a suit. He was in the building, he explained, with the delighted air of a man about to secure ironclad bragging rights forever, and he just had to stop in and introduce himself to Zuckerberg. Robert Mueller, director of the FBI, pleased to meet you. They all shook hands and chatted about nothing for a couple of minutes. Then Mueller left. There was a giddy silence, while everybody just looked at one another as if to say, what the hell just happened? In-Q-Tel. Go look at In-Q-Tel. In-Q-Tel is the venture capital firm of the CIA. They're not hiding it. And they funded many of these companies, including Palantir.
That's my point. It's like these were government created,
pretty much,
entities.
The NSA was
Alphabet.
already.
It's known Alphabet. You know what I'm saying? The history of Alphabet. All of this, but they'll make it seem like, oh no, we're just oversight. That's all we're doing. No, I'm not gonna fall, because if you fall for it, then you're living in a false reality. We know what Twitter is. We know what Facebook is.
Mo,
go ahead.
Everything is fake. Everything we know is fake. When they say the simulation, yeah, kind of. Media is the simulation. It's all fake. It's been that way for a long, long time.
And that's why they hate people like us when we come in and actually have conversation like this. Other people say, I noticed that too. And then, I noticed that as well. I noticed that. And it becomes infectious. And that's why they want to control all sides of it, because they cannot have people, whatever freak thinking you have, they want to give it to you.
That's right.
Yeah, you can have this idea, long as pick from it. Pick any idea you want from this table.
Yeah.
So I don't want one of those ideas. It's like, no,
you got to pick from one of these. Only one of these.
Right.
Yes.
Just quickly, let's go through these content clips. But I want to show how ingrained the government is in these organizations, to the point it makes me think these are government organizations with private out-facing representation.
Let's say you were trying to staff a social media site. Who would you hire? Well, obviously, since it's a tech business, you would hire tech people, coders, software engineers to keep the place running. Then you'd hire administrative staff because you had to, some lawyers, a caterer, a flack or two, maybe an interior decorator if you wanted HQ to look good. But how many spies would you hire? Well, probably none. Spies have nothing to do with the mission of a social media company. They would not be needed, and you wouldn't hire any opera singers either. Yet, for some reason, Twitter seems to need an awful lot of spies. The upper ranks of Twitter, we now know, were absolutely loaded with people who once did intel work for government agencies. At least 15 of these people, and possibly many more. Most of them were hired in the wake of Donald Trump's election. Now, what were these people doing all day at what was supposedly a social media company? Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Loaded
up. All right. Clip 2.
We know that James Baker, who came from the FBI, has been accused of secretly censoring incriminating internal files before Elon Musk could release them to the public. Baker was fired for that. So that's some of what James Baker was doing at Twitter. But how about Charles Smith of Twitter's Trust and Safety Department? Smith joined Twitter after working at U.S. Cyber Command. Or how about Jeff Tokadjer, formerly a director of Naval Counterintelligence? What was he doing? Or Kevin Michelina, or Doug Hunt, or Mark Jaruzelski, or Douglas Turner, or Karen Walsh, Russell Handor, Vincent Lucera. All of these people once worked for the FBI as well. Their colleague Jeff Carlton came from the CIA. Patrick Conlon once worked at the NSA, and so on. And it wasn't just American intel officers who found a home at Twitter. The company hired foreign spies too. In January, Peter Zatko was fired from his position as Twitter's head of security. Reportedly, Zatko lost his job because he complained about the level of control that foreign intelligence agencies had over virtually all of Twitter's operations. According to Zatko, there were operatives on Twitter's payroll from other governments, including China and India, and they had access to private user data. And those are just the details that we know about.
Yeah, it's called capture, of course, but it wasn't even capture. They were there from the beginning. It's very much like the Big Pharma and the FDA. So Scott Gottlieb, who was on CNBC all the time as an analyst, he speaks about vaccines mainly. He was administrator at the FDA, and he left, and he became he's on the board of Pfizer.
The government owns your data.
They own everything,
and they can do whatever they want with it. This is not an organization with a few governmental, former government appointees in it. No, this is a government organization. Period. In this story, this is how I see it. It can't be any other way.
It is. They all are.
And it's not. And then who we get to fix it? The brain chip guy that abuses monkeys. Yeah. That's who's going to save you.
Well,
the Rocket Man. You was like, what?
Yeah, no. This is the problem, and I laid it out for Joe Rogan, and he kind of looked at me like, said, "Dude, Elon Musk works for the government, and it's not a secret." My favorite was, and this was a great way to do it. Starlink. I love Starlink. Starlink is great. Starlink, but it's not. That would never be profitable just for consumers. No, no. So he had to, put everything into Ukraine and then say, Ukraine, you're using it for offensive. It was supposed to only be defensive. So I'm going to turn it off. But he didn't turn it off. No, he just opened up the true company, which is called I think it's called Starshield.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same technology, only the Ukrainian government has to pay for it for military purposes. So of course,
it's the same exact thing. Like we create something that's government created,
exactly,
opening up for the public to use.
Yep.
And do you think you have a private corporation?
Nope.
Do you think they would give Zuckerberg that much power? Come on. Think about it. Look at the guy. He's a lizard.
Here's back to Tucker.
Elon Musk was asked recently how many former FBI agents are currently employed by Twitter, but he wouldn't say. It's all pretty weird. Could it be that while the rest of us imagined that Twitter was a social media site, a place to vent about politics and sports and the Kardashians, could it be that Twitter was actually, maybe primarily, a propaganda tool and intelligence gathering apparatus for a variety of intel agencies? Well, yes, that's possible. And you can see why various governments would want access to the information that Twitter had. Keep in mind that Twitter's direct message DM feature functioned for many years as a kind of private text app for some of the world's most prominent people. So if you wanted to know what high government officials really thought, or if you want to know what well-informed sources were telling reporters off the record, you would want to see those messages. Did Twitter executives ever share those DMs, those private messages, with anyone outside the company without a warrant? We strongly suspect that they did.
Oh, please. They don't have to, because the FBI could just look at it themselves. They have their portal, can get right in. My favorite is Gmail. Go look at the terms and service of Gmail. Right there it says, we read your email, to help you. And it's amazing how many, even the intelligence agencies use Gmail. They all use Gmail.
But the biggest psyop is we know we don't have privacy.
Right.
It's hello. It wasn't that the whole thing with the the Patriot Act and all the spying, you have no more freedom.
Yeah.
Now we're arguing over the freedom that's non-existent in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? It's like
that's exactly right. And that was the warning about the Patriot Act. It was written before, it was written 2 weeks before it got passed. It was already written. No, we're frogs in the boiling pot. Well, not you and I. We're, of course, we're in the sauna over there, hanging out with our Cristal.
I like water, hot water.
Oh, you make me laugh again. Stop.
I'm sorry. But that was 32?
Yeah, we got 30. Here's the last one. This is the last last Tucker clip.
The proof, of course, resides on Twitter's servers, along with a lot else. Think about it. If Twitter has been functioning as an arm of government intel agencies, and clearly it has been, then its internal documents will contain information about all kinds of things. Not just about the silencing of Donald Trump. Not just about Tony Fauci's buffoonish lies about the COVID shot. No. information about big history-shaping events. The sabotage of Nord Stream 2, for example. The supposed poison gas attacks in Syria, both of them. The imprisonment of Julian Assange. Why is he there? The theft of incriminating emails from the DNC. What was that story? The motive behind the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And much, much more. In other words, Elon Musk now has control of the most significant trove of secret information ever to reside in private hands. So far, we have not seen much of it, and you have to wonder why we haven't. Let's hope that we do.
Yeah, dream on. One last personal experience. I know Elon Musk. I met him. We had the same investors in the mid-2000s. Completely unimpressive man. Not impressive at all. He doesn't even write most of his tweets, I guarantee you. He's not writing that. He is a complete cutout.
Before we go to the next donation segment, I just want to bring up one point. You remember what they said about the record of sex?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even know those guys had phones. We didn't even know their names.
Right.
It's the same way on that in that arena. That there's a level above these guys, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, and people that we don't know their names. But they sign the artists. Like, they sign Elon up and Zuckerberg up.
I know some of them.
And they perform. Go ahead.
I know some of them. I mean, look at the money. It's John Doerr at Kleiner Perkins. It's Roland Botha, also South African, who runs Sequoia Capital. And they have masters too. The same guys who pumped in hundreds of millions of dollars into FTX, the smartest investors in the world, mind you. They've invested in everything. Oh, they're so smart. They didn't do any diligence. They were blown away that Sam Bankman-Fried was playing video games during the pitch meeting. No, I mean, that thing, oh man. And that's going to go straight to Stanford University. One of these days, some of it will come out. We'll figure some of it out. Probably not all of it. But it is as George Carlin said, it's a big club. It's a big club, and you're not in it. Exactly. However,
well, one club you can be in.
Yes, exactly. Is the Moe Factz and Adam Curry Club.
I like brand new money. I don't want any money around me that's not. I'd almost rather have a new one than an old 20. Now, that's kind of dumb, isn't it? But there's something about new money that excites you. You like $100 bills?
Oh, yeah. I like new money, too.
Oh. Most beautiful thing on earth is a $100 bill. I hadn't seen a woman as good looking as a $100 bill. There's something about a $100 bill that excites you.
Well, we already went past our $100 bills, but we are here at the rest of our producers for episode 90 of Moe Factz with Adam Curry. $45 from Betty S. And there's a check for note. Do I need to check for a note? What is that?
No. I checked for it. There's no note.
Oh, you checked for no note. We checked.
Like when checks come, I have to go back and check.
I got you.
For the notes. Yeah.
I got you. Thank you very much, Betty. We appreciate it. Carol A. Chase, $40. I'm a listener, subscriber, and donor to the Moe Factz with Adam Curry show. I haven't seen an episode drop for a while. Am I wondering how you were doing? And I'm wondering how you're doing. We're doing okay. Is there anything I can be praying for you and your family? Oh, first
good health.
What's that?
Good health.
Good health.
That's always a good start.
Yes, and thank you very much for thinking of us that way, Carol. We try really hard. Life gets in the way. Sometimes it's just very hard to do this show. We have our own thoughts about why that is. But we will not stop. We continue to move forward. Jennifer Cato, thank you for your $40. Melissa Reeve, also $40. Dear Adam and Moe, I recently introduced my fiancé to your show as a way to keep busy during the long flights he has to take since he travels a lot for work. I'll be flying out to meet him next month in Chile. So, Adam, I apologize for temporarily suspending my monthly donation to No Agenda. I'm trying to save up every dollar I have because I truly want our reunion to be something special. No problem at all. However, I still have to give to Moe Factz because y'all keep me sane during these crazy post-COVID days. I haven't heard his feedback on what he thinks of the show yet, but I'm hoping he'll give me a shout-out soon. Oh. Much love to my apocalyptic warlord. A message for him and all the other men out there. Love is the guiding light, cash is king, and some furniture is not meant to be rearranged. Love, your apocalyptic shield maiden in FEMA region number 3. And says, Adam, P.S., thanks for the upgrade. Not sure what I upgraded you to, but you're welcome, Melissa. $333.33 from Caitlin Sandal, you and John are one thing, but you and Moe, yes. Now, don't play favorites with the kids. Sean DeSantis, $30. A gift, thank you. We take your gift and appreciate it. Jennifer Ingle, $25. Hope you're having fun in the rabbit holes. Yeah, always. Usually I look up and there's Moe. He's 2 levels deeper. Sam Smock, 2345, $23.45. Deep in my heart, he says, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday after the next election cycle. Well, we'll see. We'll be here. $20 from the following people: Alejandro Alocer, Dustin Zimmer, Christopher S., Matthew Weaver, Terrence Lynch, Vanessa Steinbach, and Walter Foss. $15 from Daryl Keck, who says, thanks for the continued information and knowledge. The following people are $10 donors: Aaron Sneed, Arsonomics, Bo Baldwin, Benjamin Barlow, Christopher Bellier, Daniel White, David Jones, Jacques Delisle, who says, can I have some Mo Karma? Of course you can.
You've got
Mo Karma.
Kyle Tack, Michael Talbot, Seth Peterson, SV, Trenton Scoville, Joshua Goodson, and Charles A. Van de Sande, who says, doing God's work and would like some GBG. Let me grab the GBG for you. We love doing that.
Do we have a ballot?
Roland Santa Cruz, $9. Chimp from the Saturday Night Lit. Okay, Chimp. Mark J. Asher, $8.12. Danny Archer, $6.80. No name here. Cash Invest BTC Buy Trade. Okay, $5. Not quite sure what that is. Moises Hernandez with the $4.20. Keep on keeping on. Message received. We got the code. And finally, the Human Subscription Machine, Terry Keller, $4.11. These are all of our donors for episode 90 of Moe Factz with Adam Curry. We really appreciate every single donation. It's value for value. Whatever you give, it is your evaluation. If you really like it and you put the most in you can, that's all we ask for. It doesn't have to be a huge number as long as it is what you feel the show is worth to you. Go to mofactz.com, find our donation page, or go directly to it, mofundme.com, and support us for episode 91. Adam Curry, along here with Moe Factz.
So we have 2 more pieces of information to go through before we wrap up. One being news benders. Have you heard this or seen this? It's a BBC, I think, like 1970s. It was fictitious, but very accurate.
No, so kind of satirical.
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe when I hear it, but. The name sounds kind of familiar, but I'd love to hear it to get refreshed.
Quick oversight, just so people know what's going on here. This is kind of how a agent would get brought in and looped into the powers that be. Like they kept an eye on you. they like the work you're doing, and then they let you come in, and access another realm of power. This is kind of like the introduction in the club we're not in.
Okay.
So I thought this was great. You know what I'm saying? You can stop it as you please. I think some of the clips are a little longer, so you can stop mid-clip if you like. If anything you find interesting, but let's go ahead and jump it off with number 34.
Very surprised we got you to come here, Mr. Larkin.
Well, I couldn't see what the CWNS would want with me. Still can't.
Do you know anything about it?
Oh, I heard 1 or 2 things when I was working with the BBC.
What did you hear?
CWNS, set up midway between the government and the TV companies. Anytime the newsreel boys put out stuff with security classification, wars, weapons, political leaks, they get their film through this office.
What do we know about you? Larkin. Robert Santor.
Yes, it's a family name.
Good family. Good education. But you turned your back on all that, didn't you? Tried a little bit of everything. 6 years ago, there were those shows you did on alcoholism, blood sports, slum clearance. People called you bright. Very bright. There were other words they used.
Hard-hitting. Vital.
Now you do only 4 shows a year. The critics call them brilliant. They're high in the ratings, and they're souffles. little soft in the center. Don't think I'm complaining.
Oh, you can complain if you want to.
Just call it a friendly professional interest. I'd like to know what happened to alcoholism and blood sports.
Call it reaching the age of 35. Call it school fees to fixed addresses. Call it joining the establishment. Call it being a socialist for 15 years in a country that'll never be socialist.
Good.
I don't think I've heard these before.
Okay, so just for people just to catch him up to speed, he's basically on an interview without knowing it. The one gentleman, has all his background information, and he was saying basically that, used to make these hard-hitting pieces, which makes me think of Tucker now.
Right.
From
souffle.
Having a
Tucker the souffle. Yeah, exactly.
He used to make these hard-hitting pieces, and all of a sudden now it's souffles. And he's like, what happened? And he's like, 2 kids and, joining the establishment. I think this is more powerful than money, is the access. And I spoke about this before on the show, is when I was separated from my company, a bit of your occupation is tied into your identity, or a large part, Oh,
totally.
So when you get divorced from that, it's kind of like, who am I? And I think a lot of people don't want to reinvent themselves. So I just wanted to break down what's going on here, because it might be a little, hard to understand what's going on in the beginning. But that's the setup. So we can get more into it now with 35.
What do you want?
We want people with low power quotients. We want them to work for us. Nothing more sinister than that.
All this just to offer me a job.
Special sort of job. The newspapers talk about the corridors of power, the power elite. Let's just say we'd like you to join the club. There's a vacancy in our newsreel department. We'd like you to help plan the news for 1973.
Come again?
Plan the news for 1973. What are you doing?
I just want to make sure the sunlight's real.
I always tell people, news is the most highly developed form of fiction. The most difficult.
Make the news for 1973, please.
Yeah, they're planning the news for years to come, which I think in some ways is done for us now.
Yeah, I don't
you
think
kind of can predict we do it with this show.
Yeah.
This is why you say you're from the future, and we had to do goggles and things of that nature. If you watch news enough, you can kind of tell what's going to be next.
Right.
It's not like superpower, I don't think. Not to, to diminish it, but I have the same thing. It's patterns.
Yeah, patterns. You can just wait for it. You can just wait for it. You know what's coming. And whatever was successful, they'll do it again.
Of course, and that's the beauty of it, in a sinister way, is they just feed you more of what you like. It's kind of like your suggestion on your social media. It's like, oh, you like that kind of video? Let me give you 10 more like it.
Not kind of like, exactly like.
Okay. You want to move on?
Let's play, which one? Let's play one more. I got 36, 37, 38. Which one should I play? Do you know which one is?
Let's just jump down all the way to 39 to the
last
kicker.
one? Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Well, I won't buy it.
You must admit there has to be some kind of control in this world of ours. Look at this. And remember that 1/4 of the world is starving. There are the full bellies and the empty bellies. Some of the empty bellies carry rifles. Well, we full bellies are getting a bit flabby. We're not very good with rifles anymore, so we've devised 2 ways to keep the empty bellies under control. One of them is this fictitious hydrogen bomb we've talked about. The other one is money. Enough money to fill some of the empty bellies and put a hopeful smile on the faces of the others. A great wall of money all around Britain. And it's no secret that the British economy is in trouble at the moment. So we have to put that right, too, to stay alive. We have to control the people in this country. Scare an ostrich, buries its head in the sand. You scare a hedgehog, it rolls itself up into a ball. When a woman's frightened, she goes out and buys herself a hat.
You mean you scare us so that we'll buy more, so that money moves quicker, production moves up?
We don't say scare when we talk about human beings. We say threaten them emotionally. And there are all sorts of ways of doing it, not just the big ones like the hydrogen bomb. Overcrowd them a little with bad planning. Sell them too many motor cars. Anything to keep them a little bit removed from reality. Nowadays, people don't work for money. They work for the idea of money. They don't even love for love. They love for the idea of love. They only hate for the idea of hate.
Wow, this is the OG Limited Hangout right here. That's great. People have emailed me about this. I don't think I've ever watched it fully, so it was good to hear this. But yeah, people have told me you got to watch this, and now I get it totally.
And isn't it fascinating the two things that he talked about? Well, three things he said: the full bellies and empty bellies, which food is a big thing now, a story.
Yep.
Nuclear war.
Yep.
And inflation. And financial uncertainty.
Insecurity. Yeah, it's the trifecta right there.
And they use it worked. It worked before. Let's just run it back.
And by the way, we also have a way to profit off of that ourselves. It's called Big Pharma. Here's a pill.
We got a pill for everything. Oh, you too anxious? We got something for that.
Anxious,
depressed.
Yep. By the way, are you overweight? Are you obese because of the shit you're eating? Don't worry. We have Ozempic.
I'm waiting for the nuclear pill.
Will it protect you from the nuke?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's what Alex Jones has it already. Iodine pills. So.
No, but they gotta have a big pharma version of it, like a nuke vax or something.
It'll protect you from the fallout. Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of pills, this last 3 clips right here is hopefully because I always prided myself on not leaving people in despair. No. And this is courtesy of E-Class. He sent me this set of clips. And I just want to say, the last scheduled date we had to record this show, we didn't go through with it.
Was the 8th, I think.
Right. And that was a day a lot of my friends and former colleagues were laid off from our former place of employment.
Right. And were these, even if I understand it rightly, people who had refused to take the vax, were invited back to the company, and then were let go because they chopped jobs?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which, remember the chip shortage? Now there's a chip glut. So, just to show you how going from the previous clips.
Well, it was the CHIPS Act. They got $2 trillion or some crazy amount like that.
Right, but we can't keep people employed. Make that make sense.
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah, so with that said, this is how you control your own power, your own security. This is Earl Nightingale, courtesy of my man E-Class. And I told him when he sent me this clip, I was like, you made the show. Let's go ahead and run through these because I think these would be very helpful. It's on point, on topic about what Crowder was going through. Maybe he doesn't want to go work for anybody else. I can relate. There's a certain security in working for yourself. So let's go ahead and go through these right quick, and then we can wrap up the show.
We are what we think about. Our minds, our thinking controls our destinies here on Earth to a degree totally unsuspected by the great majority of people. When you think about it a moment, it becomes so obvious, so clear and simple. Well then, if we become what we think about, and if we can control our minds, we can pretty well tell our own future. And that's the point I want to make. That's what I meant when I said earlier that each one of us is the architect of the structure fashioned by our years. This means that if we're confused about what we wish to become or accomplish, our lives, our environment will mirror that confusion. It also means that if we know what it is we seek, that it must be accomplished. Barring an act of God or a catastrophe over which we have no control, we as individuals can call our own shots for the rest of our lives. We can know what it means to go through life from one success to another, to play life according to the rules and reap the rewards. We can know what it means to have peace of mind and live calm, cheerful, successful lives. You are at this moment the sum total of your thoughts to this point, for there is nothing else you can be.
This is a very famous radio guy, Earl Nightingale. Very, very famous. Yeah, he's in thousands of programs.
And the one that changed my life was The Strangest Secret. You need to go listen to if you haven't. And as he said, we're a product of our thoughts. Now, hopefully, people understand why the media is so important for population control, for mind control, because they get you in the morning. I told you my old phone would feed me news stories in my alarm clock.
Yep.
The alarm clock would go off and like, these are the stories you need to think about for today, basically. And it was, if I allowed it, it would shape my day, which I didn't. But I just found it fascinating that from your wake of your sleep,
oh yeah,
they have you tapped in, and then it's just a 24-hour cycle of feeding you things to be reactive to. And like you said with the frogs, the frog reacts to the water.
For over a year, my wife Tina and I, we have changed our morning routine because, of course, it's very easy to, certainly for me, to start right away with, what's going on? Let me see what's happening. What was the news? What happened overnight? We start by first saying good morning to Holy Spirit. Then we read, we read some scripture. And I got to tell you, I'll read like a devotional and like, okay, let me see where that comes from. And I'll just go and read that piece. And man, it puts me in the right mood. Then I can tackle any of it. You're so right. Doing that from the minute you get up, getting jacked in. I mean, there you go. 100% Matrix. That's what they want. The Matrix is real. The depiction was science fiction, but it really is real. And the best way to protect yourself is to not connect or connect with caution.
Correct.
Decide to become a professional at your business. You see, we can either compete or create. If we compete with all the other people in our line of work, we must be willing to accept the same rewards. If that's what we want, fine. But if we want to become professionals at what we do, then we must create. And when we begin to do this, there's no limit to that which we can achieve. We hear a lot these days about a word called security. Everyone wants security, but not 1 in 10 can tell you what it is. Most people will tell you that security rests with a job. This is impossible. There is no such thing as a job that represents security. Anyone with a job can lose it for any one of 1,000 reasons at any time. There is only one place on earth you can find security, and if it isn't there, it isn't anywhere. It's inside of a person.
This guy's so good.
He is.
I love that voice.
Security comes from within. And me and you were having a conversation. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's starting over. It is a scary thought. And you want to go back to what is secure, but it only confirmed the fact that what you consider is secure is smoke and mirrors.
You lived it. And you lived it yourself personally.
Right. Because if I would have either kowtowed or didn't strike out when I did, then I would still be at this very point 1 year later, almost to the date, I would have been the same exact position.
Yeah, it would have been a lot less. It would have been shittier.
Right.
Much shittier.
Right. No, that's true. That is true. So here's the last and final clip. But I'm saying this is for all people out there. Do what you love to do. Be proactive. My suggestion: practice the 7 habits. And the first one is be proactive, because we all have a talent. We all have a skill. You just have to believe in yourself. And this is not mumbo jumbo, but you have to get your mindset on that thought now, because before that, a year ago came, it was many, years before that, the thought of I need to be doing something else, but just figuring out what it was. So we can get into the last clip now.
There is only one place on earth you can find security, and if it isn't there, it isn't anywhere. It's inside of a person, never outside. If a man has security inside, where it belongs, his wife and children can feel it when he sits down to eat with them, and they're warmed by it. If a man has security inside where it belongs, you can see it walking down the street, and you can feel it when he enters a room. That's security, and you can't take it away from him. You can take away his money, his home, everything but a wife who's willing to start over, and most of them are, and drop him anywhere in the country. Go back in a year, and he'll be doing just as well as when you found him the first time. You can't keep a good man down, no matter what you do to him. Like cream on milk. You can shake it all day, but just set it down for a while and it'll bounce right to the top again. This man or this woman has security where it belongs. And do you know where it comes from? It comes from doing what we do for a living surpassingly well. It comes from being a pro in a world of amateurs.
Yes, exactly. A pro in a world of amateurs.
So that's my show. hopefully you enjoyed it. And it was, just a quick examination of what controls our thoughts, and we got to take control back from.
Yes. Oh man, that was good. Yeah, hold on. I just want to say thank you, E-Class. I love that. It turned everything around, and we will keep our eye on the Crowder situation. I have a little bit of internal insight, but never a boring moment. That's for sure. Mo, I appreciate this, man. As always, you've done it. I'm so happy that we took the extra time, and then the time was robbed, and we're back, and here we are. Another Moe Factz in the can.
Another one done. And as I always say, pay attention to everything, and the truth will reveal itself.
We'll talk to you soon, Mo.
Talk to you later, Alvin.